This is Gao Yang, an 18-year-old kid trying way too hard to look like a CEO. Just a month ago, things were simple with his childhood friend Li Weiwei, until she suddenly decided to audition for a horror movie, mid-conversation. Luckily, his classmate Qingling showed up with an electric sword to end the world's worst date. She then drops a casual truth bomb on our very confused boy, revealing that basically everyone he knows, friends, family, the mailman, are all monsters. These beasts are hiding in plain sight, specifically hunting newly awakened people like him. And the only way to fight back is with special talents that awakened humans possess. Which is great because Gao Yang just unlocked a luck talent in his very own game system. With his life completely flipped, Qingling takes on the role of his personal monster hunting guide. From that day forward, she becomes his most important and frankly only capable companion. Soon they cross paths with Officer Huang, who was investigating the whole girl-turns-monster incident. On a mission for the officer, they pick up two more stragglers, Pang Jun and Wang Zikai. One of them, Wang Zikai, seems to get a little too close for comfort right away. But the mission goes sideways, and Officer Huang accidentally exposes a secret organization, the 12 Zodiac. Naturally, the gang decides to join, which apparently requires passing a 2-round job interview. For the final test, a very sketchy hooded figure sends them off to some remote village, bringing them to the scenic and probably cursed Guchaji village. Following some clues, they find an ancient well that immediately tries to eat them with shadow tentacles. This ground gives way, plunging them all into an underground version of the village from 30 years ago. This whole place is a sepia-tone nightmare, complete with ominous crows. Turns out, the only way out is to solve the village's 30-year-old massacre mystery. And the big twist is that the murderers were literally every single villager. So the gang finds themselves fighting off the entire possessed population, which of course summons a giant, long-haired skeleton monster for a final boss. Everyone's morale instantly hits rock bottom, as you'd expect. This monster wastes no time, immediately snagging one of the stragglers for a snack. But just in the nick of time, a member of the 12 Zodiac shows up. This masked pro effortlessly one-shots the beast that nearly wiped them all out, while his smug, red-haired partner just watches from the sidelines. After their very dramatic rescue, the whole crew officially gets recruited into the organization. They learn about rune circuits, the key items for amping up their awakened talents, and get a lovely heads-up about the Crimson Tide, a recurring monster apocalypse event. On top of that, there are also shadowy ghost factions to worry about, because why not? This Zodiac is basically their only shot at surviving this increasingly complicated world. But Gao Yang immediately makes a new enemy, a horned guy named Hong Feng, over some loot, who predictably comes hunting him down for a little payback. After a brutal fight, our boy actually manages to come out on top, proving he's got more than just dumb luck on his side. But the victory is hollow because his friend Wan Ccc didn't survive the encounter. So after that hollow victory, Gao Yang is stuck attending Wan Ccc's funeral, where the whole crew gathers to pay their respects, looking completely out of place. Both he and Qingling are clearly wrestling with the loss, but Wang Zikai just waltzes up to complain that Gao Yang's been ignoring him lately. Which is fair, since our boy had zero time to mourn before getting thrown into another mission. This time they're hunting a missing team and a rune circuit on some kind of infinite ghost train, which, judging by the body parts everywhere, did not go well for the last guys. Turns out the whole place is caught in a massive, tree-like time-space distortion, which creates temporal clones of anyone who enters, trapping them in its branches. This horrifying catch is that these clones are forced to murder each other until only one survives. And one of the original team members had to sacrifice himself just so his squad could escape. His final thoughts were of his family, a gut punch that really drove home the stakes for Gao Yang. Back in the present, he places a flower for Wan Cici, having learned another brutal lesson about goodbyes. He finally accepts that in this world, the only thing to do is keep moving forward. With their goodbyes said, the team walks off, ready for whatever fresh hell comes next. And what comes next is a whole new set of problems, starting with a human-eating girl, who latches onto Gao Yang at a festival, telling him how absolutely delicious he smells. Then he's suddenly playing junior detective, investigating a string of gruesome serial murders, with his new partner noting the killer's methods are getting more and more vicious. On top of all that, he's also going undercover at a high school to deal with a full-blown rebellion. This high school rebellion kicks off with a shadowy classmate getting way too personal with Gao Yang. Meanwhile, another mission takes the gang to a totally not cursed abandoned amusement park. With a heavy push, the gates to their next headache swing open, and the team steps into a place that's suspiciously empty for a supposed black market hub. Pang Jun immediately gets the creeps, complaining about the low-budget horror movie vibes. But the guy in the suit explains there's a very good reason for the spooky location, which Gao Yang points out is simple logic. Fewer people means fewer monsters. As they walk, the ground beneath them suddenly turns into a massive shimmering portal, catching everyone completely off guard with a jolt, and dropping them right at the feet of two very buff, very mythological bouncers. Pang Jun predictably loses his mind, convinced they've just entered the underworld itself. Turns out, it's just the VIP entrance to the Baichuan Nightwalk, a special market for the awakened. Now, inside this hidden dimension, the team takes a moment to absorb the surreal scenery. This so-called Nightwalk is actually a full-blown underground market for hunters and survivors. Here, they sell all sorts of enchanted gear made from a special metal that boosts awakened powers. Gao Yang finds some gloves perfect for his flame powers, but his wallet is tragically empty. Just as he's about to walk away defeated, a mysterious vendor in a big hat stops him. She leans over her stall with a sly look, asking if he's interested in her wares. This vendor then lays on the charm, acting sympathetic about his hard-working youth. So Gaoyang tries to play it cool, but she's clearly not letting him leave just yet. Wang Zikai, ever the helpful friend, steps up to ask about the price of the gloves for Gaoyang. This vendor coolly quotes him a price of 12 gold, which is apparently way out of their league. Convinced it's a total scam, Wang Zikai decides to test out his newly learned bargaining skills. His master negotiation starts with him loudly complaining about the crappy gloves, calling the craftsmanship third-rate and the logo something that looks like a pile of poop. He even throws in a complaint about her customer service, which is just peak entitlement. Then he switches tactics, acting like he's doing her a huge favor by buying them at all. She plays along, asking him to name his price, probably just to see how this train wreck ends. And he hits her with the world's most confident lowball, a final offer of 2 gold. Gaoyang is just dying of secondhand embarrassment, because this isn't haggling, it's a shakedown. But to everyone's absolute shock, she just agrees and tells him to pay up. Wang Zikai is basking in his own legendary genius, while our boy can't believe it actually worked. Gaoyang is still skeptical, double-checking if she's really going to sell them the gear, which is when he admits he's broke and only has 1 gold, offering to pay her back later. She immediately shuts that down, saying she's not exactly running a layaway program. Defeated, Gaoyang accepts that it's a lost cause and prepares to walk away empty-handed. This vendor asks if he wants to see anything else, but he's already over it. But as he turns, a dark, ominous power suddenly erupts from her stall, catching Gaoyang's attention as he senses the massive spike in energy behind him. He looks down to see the gloves in his hand are now mutating into some kind of fleshy nightmare. This entire market erupts into chaos as everyone starts screaming about a beast attack, which is weird because Gaoyang's system didn't flag any danger whatsoever. Turns out the beast is just Pang Jun's arm having a very public, very gross meltdown. He's desperately trying to explain his cursed limb situation to a very trigger-happy crowd. Luckily, the suit guy steps in, telling everyone to chill because Pang Jun is with the Zodiac. This crowd isn't buying it, since they've never seen a Zodiac member with a monster appendage. As Gao Xiang tries to get through, wondering about the terrible timing of this flare-up, a hand suddenly grabs his wrist, stopping him dead in his tracks. And it's the mysterious vendor girl, who just yanks him out of the crowd. He's completely shocked by her strength as she drags him away without a word. Gaoyang immediately gets suspicious, thinking this girl might be the cause of all the trouble. She pulls him into a quiet corner, where he finally demands to know what she wants. Instead of answering, she just slips the flame-enhancing glove right onto his hand. He's stunned as the glove materializes, already crackling with his own fire talent. Then she makes her grand offer. Ride the Ferris wheel with her and the gear is his. Not trusting this for a second, Gaoyang activates his lie detection skill to check her story. And the system comes back with a big fat no lies, which is somehow even weirder. He realizes she has zero hostile intent and genuinely just wants a Ferris wheel date. He calls Wang Zikai, who says they've got it handled and he's not needed anyway. So with his friends totally fine, Gaoyang accepts the world's strangest barter for legendary gear. She effortlessly leaps into the moving Ferris wheel, leaving Gaoyang wondering who this girl really is. Once they're settled in, he asks for her name, and she introduces herself as Chu Xie. He's never heard of her, but her casual wealth clashes with her simple clothes, which makes zero sense. So he starts running down the list of major factions, but she just keeps shutting him down with a simple no. Then with a creepy smile and a burst of dark energy, she drops the bomb. She's a ghost. Our boy just smirks, completely unfazed, figuring if she was a real ghost, he'd be the protagonist. She seems surprised he's not scared, but he just confirms he's not afraid of ghosts at all. He jokes that his teacher said he'd be toast if he met one, but he's too lazy to run away anyway. With the ride over, Gaoyang tries to wrap things up, saying their deal is officially complete. But she's a little disappointed, pointing out this Ferris wheel is nothing like the ones on TV. He has to explain that's because this abandoned park has zero electricity. Genius. She seems a bit let down by the whole experience, but agrees to uphold her end of the bargain. Seeing she's still not satisfied, he decides to sweeten the deal by offering to show her some fireworks. And just like that, she's instantly hyped, completely forgetting her earlier disappointment. He tells her to close her eyes, getting ready to put on a little show for his new ghost friend. With a quick countdown, he summons a massive pillar of fire right in the palm of his hand, launching it into the sky to create a spectacular, custom-made firework display over the park. She's completely captivated by the show, watching the fiery explosions light up the night. Taking off her glasses, she reveals a pair of cat ears, calling the view beautiful. And in that moment, she seems to realize she's just exposed her true non-human form. A flashback to his mentor explains you'll know a ghost when you see one, and by then, it's too late. And right on cue, Gaoyang is staring at this cat-eared girl, finally connecting the dots, who he'd been desperately hoping was just a very dedicated cosplayer. She just smiles back, completely unaware she's just blown her cover wide open. That's when his system finally screams at him that he's facing an extreme danger. Just as he's about to react, his phone starts buzzing in his pocket, and it's Wang Zikai, panicking that the market is under attack and people are hurt. Chu Xue, meanwhile, is just annoyed the light show stopped, asking if there are any more fireworks. Gaoyang ignores her, telling his friend to get everyone out of there immediately. But before he can explain, the call cuts out, leaving him staring at his new problem. He finally asks her straight up if she's actually a ghost, sweat dripping down his face. She just casually confirms it, like she's talking about the weather. With his heart in his throat, he asks the million-dollar question, is she here to kill him? A terrifyingly grind spreads across her face as she leans in closer, and with a lick of her lips, she tells him she's here to eat him. Gao Yang powers up his flames, ready to go down swinging, while she puts on a blindfold. But then something clicks. If she wanted to eat him, why didn't his system warn him sooner? He realizes the danger signal might not be about Chusho at all. She takes off her blindfold, looking totally confused by his sudden hesitation. At that exact moment, the sky explodes with real fireworks, revealing the actual source of the chaos. Chushue is just thrilled the fireworks are back, completely ignoring the whole "I'm going to eat you" conversation. She then announces she's made up her mind about something very important, which is that she wants to be friends, leaving Gao Yang absolutely speechless. He immediately agrees, figuring friendship is a much better deal than becoming a ghost's lunch. To seal the deal, she insists on making a proper pinky promise, and they swear to be besties for 100 years, which is a totally normal thing to do with a monster. But their newfound bond is cut short when she senses her older sister approaching, telling Gao Yang she has to bolt right this second. With a quick goodbye, she just leaps off the Ferris wheel and vanishes into the night. And our boy waves back, looking way too calm for someone who just survived a supernatural shakedown. He finally collapses, realizing the system's danger warning was for her sister, not Chushue herself. Just then, his friends call out to him, so he pulls himself together to meet them. This team rushes over, ready to fight some lizard beast and asking if he's hurt. Gao Yang tells them she's gone, but Wang Zikai just puffs out his chest, acting like he wasn't scared at all. This guy in the suit wants to know who that girl was, suggesting they regroup before talking. Back at the now empty market, the situation has gotten even weirder, where they find Pangjun trying to heal a man lying unconscious on the ground. Turns out this is the real stall owner, who was found knocked out after Pangjun's arm freaked out. Pangjun's healing isn't working though, because some strange power is actively fighting it. A closer look reveals a dark, corrupted aura on the man's arm, an energy that's neither beast nor human. Meanwhile, a woman in a business suit suddenly cancels a secret gathering, telling everyone to head back immediately. She coolly dismisses them, announcing their meeting spot has been compromised and will be changed. Her underlings respond with a crisp yes, clearly part of a highly disciplined organization. Back at the market, Gao Yang looks up as this very same woman arrives on the scene, and he recognizes her as Sister Chen Ying, a high-ranking member of the 12 Zodiac. She apologizes for the interruption, but it's obvious this is serious business. Looking down at the cursed stall owner, she confirms his condition is critical and not looking good. Gao Yang internally notes the dark energy isn't from a typical awakened person's curse at all. Chen Ying then asks for an escort to HQ, revealing her own team was ambushed on the way over. He agrees, calculating that Chushue's sister is the real threat and isn't targeting them anyway. To placate the remaining civilians, she offers to pay for all damages with the Baichuan group's money. This suit guy cuts in with a much better deal, making everyone's purchases for the day completely free. Wang Zikai, however, looks like he's about to question this extremely generous offer. Gao Yang quickly shuts that down, telling him to take the volatile Pangjun away first. Chen Ying is still wary about bringing the cursed man to headquarters, calling him a unique wanderer. But Gao Yang vouches for the suit guy, pointing out that the Zodiac is desperate for competent people. With the negotiations over, the suit guy says it's time for them to leave. At the Baichuan Group headquarters, an employee is frantically searching for someone named Sha Ye. He's pointed toward the lounge just as the elevator doors open, and as the group walks in, a new woman demands Chen Ying explain who these strangers are. Chen Ying immediately barks orders to get their top specialist to the clinic, like yesterday. She tries to send Gao Yang's crew away, but the suit guy insists they're staying to watch the show. Right on cue, a woman in a lab coat named Sha Ye makes her grand entrance. She takes one look at the unconscious man's arm and confirms it's definitely a curse. With that, she orders him brought into what looks like a very specialized treatment room, which turns out to be a creepy ritual chamber with a giant stone altar in the middle. Sha Yi lights a couple of candles, warning everyone to keep their distance while she works. She begins some kind of purification ritual, calling on the Holy Spirit to do its thing, unleashing a massive wave of cleansing energy right onto the cursed man. But the dark energy just snuffs out the ritual candles like it's nothing, and her holy light completely shatters against the curse's overwhelming power. Shayi is left stunned, her ultimate purification technique having failed spectacularly. To make things worse, the stall owner wakes up screaming for them to stay away from him. Chen Ying looks to her for answers, clearly not expecting this level of failure. So, Shayi pulls her aside for a private debrief, away from Gao Yang's team. She explains the curse is from a totally unknown source, making it impossible for her to cleanse. Gao Yang instantly realizes she's talking about Chu Shue's ghost energy, a whole new category of problem. This specialist admits she's done all she can, and now the guy's survival is up to fate. Seeing their part is over, the suit guy tells Gao Yang it's time for them to bounce. Chen Ying thanks them for their trouble, offering to pay them and send them on their way. Just then, the cursed man smashes his way out of the ritual room, calling for help. and the entire group whips around as Jiang Hao, the stall owner, stumbles into the hallway. He's in absolute agony, his arm now a grotesque, corrupted mess of flesh and dark energy. As he staggers forward, Chen Ying and the specialist immediately tell him not to move a muscle. This poor guy explains he feels sick to his stomach, completely overwhelmed by the transformation. He says his arm feels like it's moving on its own, right before a tiny creepy hand with an eye pops out of his chest. Chen Ying realizes the curse has mutated, and now they have a potential time bomb in their headquarters. Jiang Hao finally sees the little hand and starts screaming, having a full-blown panic attack. With the situation spiraling, Chen Ying and her team draw their weapons, ready to put him down for good. But Gao Yang steps in at the last second, stopping them with a hand and a "hold on, I got this." He calmly tells Jiang Hao to stop fighting the curse and just accept as a new part of his body. This guy is obviously not on board with this plan, begging someone to just cut the damn thing off. Gao Yang then makes a wild guess, asking if by any chance he was recently bitten by a white cat, and Jiang Hao is stunned, confirming he tried to pet a pretty cat that suddenly mauled him. Our boy notes this is exactly like what happened to his friend Pang Jun, much to everyone's surprise. He explains the arm feeds on energy but can be controlled as long as the host keeps their emotions in check. Chen Ying steps forward to offer some gentle encouragement, telling him she knows he can do it. Apparently, that's all the motivation he needed, because he immediately agrees to try his best. He takes a deep breath, focusing on controlling the little hand sprouting from his pecs, and to everyone's shock, it actually works, with the hand retracting as he declares he's fine now. And with the crisis averted, Jiang Hao gets a swift chop to the neck, knocking him out cold. Chen Ying wants him isolated immediately, but Gao Yang explains he just needs time to adapt to his new roommate. She thanks them profusely, promising a fat reward later and asking Xia Ye to show them the door. But the suit guy just waves her off, saying they can find their own way out of this corporate nightmare. Just as they're about to leave, Xia Ye calls out, stopping them in their tracks. She asks the suit guy if he's the yellow ox of the Zodiac, which he casually confirms. Turns out she's thanking him for trying to save a man named Old Wang, even though he ultimately failed. And the plot thickens when she reveals she's actually Old Wang's wife, connecting all the dots. This yellow ox admits he knew her husband went into some dangerous rune cave but trusted his character. He gives a heartfelt speech about what a good man he was, ending the whole affair on a somber note, which is immediately undercut by him stress-eating a massive bowl of noodles back at a restaurant. He's already demanding a second bowl while Gao Yang and his companion just quietly eat theirs. This shop owner chimes in, joking that he caught the two kids sneaking out for a date. He then gives them some classic old man advice about focusing on school, much to their embarrassment. This yellow ox, mid-slurp, finally asks Gao Yang what the hell happened at the amusement park. And our boy, completely deadpan, just drops the bomb that he saw a ghost. This news causes the yellow ox to violently choke on his noodles, because of course it does. Wiping his mouth, he asks with sudden intensity if it's the same ghost he's familiar with. Gao Yang confirms it is, adding one more terrifying detail to the mix: that this ghost, Chu Shui's older sister, seems to be actively targeting their little group. This yellow ox is losing his mind trying to recap the whole ghost and killer cat situation, and Gao Yang just deadpans a yep, confirming every last ridiculous detail. This sends the veteran cop into a full-blown meltdown over a ghost's childishly chaotic motives, but his companion calmly points out that if she wanted them dead, they'd already be dead. She theorizes the ghost is just fattening them up for some unknown, sinister purpose later on. So Gao Yang lays out their two choices: run to the Zodiac for help, or wait and see what happens. His companions immediately vote for the second option, which is basically do nothing. Gao Yang is a little taken aback, asking if they really distrust their own organization that much. And the Yellow Ox explains the Zodiac would absolutely ditch them for the greater good. Our boy agrees, adding that showing any resistance might just provoke the ghost's powerful backers. This yellow ox just collapses in despair, lamenting that he just wants to live to see his kid born. Gao Yang cuts through the drama with the only real solution: they just need to get stronger. With a totally serious team fist bump, they all agree to power up together, which immediately kicks off the mandatory training montage, starting with a heavy bag, where Gao Yang checks his system and sees he's racked up 121 lucky points. He recalls the massive point bonus from his Ferris wheel date and dumps everything into strength and stamina. This result is a punch that nearly sends the bag flying right off its chain, and he's left feeling completely refreshed, admiring his newly upgraded physique. Feeling good, he strolls out of the gym and down the hall, ready for whatever's next. Then notices the movie theater is still open, quoting some ancient hero like it's a normal Tuesday. He's watching a Monkey King movie, musing about the hero's epic rebellion against the heavens. Suddenly, a voice calls him Dark Horse, and a long-haired man appears out of nowhere. Gao Yang whips around, completely baffled to find anyone else in the theater this late at night. Turns out it's his team leader, who casually invites him to come sit down for a chat. So Gao Yang sits, and the leader mentions he's also a big fan of this particular movie. But he brings up a friend's cynical take: why go through all the trouble just to end up back home? He then turns the question on Gao Yang, asking if he'd also choose to challenge the heavens. With a flash of the Ferris wheel in his eye, Gao Yang gives a firm, unwavering yes. This team leader seems intrigued by his conviction, simply asking him for a reason why, and our boy just points upward, saying he'd do it simply because the challenge is there. This answer clearly pleases the leader, who remarks that the white rabbit was right about him. Gao Yang isn't quite sure if being compared to his eccentric boss is actually a compliment. His leader just puts a hand on his shoulder, clarifying that being like him is definitely not a good thing. He then praises Gao Yang for being the organization's lucky star, though our boy just chalks it up to luck. But the leader insists luck is a form of strength, and he's got a new task before he takes a break. Gao Yang gets all fired up, confidently saying he can handle anything up to a B+ rank mission. This leader just deadpans the mission rank a casual, soul-crushing S+, which immediately shatters all of Gao Yang's newfound confidence in a single brutal moment. He completely loses it, reminding his boss that he's just a B rank member, not some legendary hero. His leader just smiles, explaining the opportunity will present itself, and if he succeeds, any wish is his. After that S+ bombshell, Gao Yang just wants to know what the mission actually is. His leader suddenly grabs his hand, getting uncomfortably close for a mission briefing. He presses a glowing rune into Gao Yang's palm, calling it a secret code for when to act, leaving our boy to weigh the dragon's incredible promise against what's clearly a suicide mission. 3 days pass and Gao Yang is woken up by a late-night message on his phone. It's a summons from Battle Tiger for him and his crew to report to HQ immediately. He lets out a massive yawn, not exactly thrilled about the midnight field trip. This whole team assembles with Yellow Ox still in his pajamas, wondering what the big emergency is. They walk in to find their boss, Uncle Tiger, waiting for them in his cool guy sunglasses. He casually explains he got an encrypted email and is about to share it with the class. On screen is a formal invitation poaching Gao Yang and his friends for another guild, which has the trio completely baffled, until Gao Yang recognizes the guild's official seal. Both he and Yellow Ox realize with dawning horror it's from the Killin Guild, the top dogs. A red-haired veteran scoffs that the newbies just got lucky and don't deserve the offer. This poaching attempt sends another member into a table-kicking rage over the sheer audacity. It's the White Rabbit, absolutely livid that the Killin Guild thinks they can just steal her people. While she throws a tantrum, Battle Tiger just tells her to calm down and let them think. But she's not having it, threatening to break the legs of anyone who even considers leaving. Gao Yang, completely unbothered by the drama, just says he's not interested in their offer. But Battle Tiger reminds him the Keelan Guild's pay and benefits are way better than theirs. This red-haired vet is already fantasizing about the Keelan Guild's rumored office romance policy. Battle Tiger makes it clear. It's a formal offer, and they have exactly 3 hours to decide their future. Later that night, Tiger sits alone in his room, smoking and contemplating the whole situation. When he hears a knock at the door, he just gruffly tells them to enter. This trio faces him as he gives a chilling speech about how much he despises being deceived. Yellow Ox is the first to refuse, reminding Tiger of his promise to help with his wife's pregnancy. Their companion agrees, stating she's staying put because he's the one who can make her stronger. With 2 down, Battle Tiger turns his gaze to Gao Yang, waiting for the final answer. Our boy makes it a clean sweep, saying he's sticking with his friends and the leader who's looked out for him. This second, he says it, a dagger whips past them and slams into the floorboards, revealing this was all a loyalty test, and they're lucky they all passed or they wouldn't be leaving alive. Yellow Ox is sweating bullets, realizing their boss is a complete lunatic who was ready to execute them. But Tiger explains his paranoia is justified, blaming something called the 7 prophecies. This team is completely baffled, asking him to explain what these prophecies actually are. He reveals a risk model predicted that the discovery of the 7th rune will trigger an all-out civil war. Since the Zodiac has already found 2 runes, they're a prime target, and he can't afford to lose members with inside info. Yellow Ox naively asks why all the Awakened can't just unite for a common goal. Battle Tiger just scoffs at the policeman's idealism, schooling him on basic human nature and greed. He then gets them fired up, telling them to ditch their illusions and stand firm in their decision to fight. Finally understanding the stakes, the trio roars back a unified yes, fully committed to the cause. With the loyalty test over, Tiger announces he has one more fun little team-building exercise, which is that one of them has to go undercover in the rival Killin Guild, a brilliant plan to turn their poaching attempt into a full-blown infiltration mission. Yellow Ox immediately calls him out, reminding him this is basically a death sentence. Gao Yang recalls the fate of the last spy they sent, who was discovered and promptly executed. So Yellow Ox flat out refuses, telling his boss he might as well just kill him right now. His companion is on the same page, saying she's too busy trying to get stronger for this nonsense. But Gao Yang suddenly connects the dots. This could be the opportunity the dragon was talking about. Tiger tries to soften the deal, clarifying they'd just be an observer, not a deep cover agent. This team's response is a unified and resounding not a chance. But just as he's about to lose them, Gao Yang suddenly volunteers, shocking everyone. His friends immediately try to talk him out of it, thinking he's completely lost his mind. He clarifies he'll only be an observer, with a strict no assassinations, no stealing secrets policy. Tiger gleefully accepts, putting him in a headlock and praising his top-notch sneakiness. A compliment Gao Yang doesn't exactly appreciate while his face is being squished. Their boss just tells the others to relax and think of it as a corporate training program. Later, the trio stands outside in the rain, the weight of the decision hanging over them. Yellow Ox points out that Tiger was probably bluffing and wouldn't have actually forced them to go. He asks what Gao Yang is really planning, since this impulsive move is totally out of character, and our boy, holding a bouquet, explains it all goes back to that invitation from last night. He explains it all started when he touched a flower sent by a Killen agent, which activated her sweet dreams talent, pulling him into a private hot spring meeting. He assumed they were just trading info, but she immediately gets down to business, asking if he's job hunting, and lays out the Killen Guild's insane offer: huge salary, rune access, and even a pro-office romance policy. To figure out the real angle, he agreed to meet a Killen Guild elder in the dream, a black tortoise who gives him the hard sell, offering a cushy protector role just below the top brass. Gao Yang questions why they'd want a rookie, but the elder just cryptically says someone put in a good word. So instead of giving a straight answer, he had her propose a compromise: send a formal invitation to his whole team. He just never expected them to actually go through with it, let alone use his friends as decoys, which is when Battle Tiger flipped the whole situation, turning their poaching attempt into a perfect infiltration opportunity. This timing was just too perfect, making him realize this was the S-plus opportunity the dragon was talking about. He keeps the dragon's mission a secret for now, telling his friends to stick with Tiger and protect themselves. Yellow Ox gives him a supportive pat, telling him to watch his own back out there. His companion then steps forward, offering him a golden bracelet as a parting gift. And he's stunned she's giving him one of the expensive pairs she bought, but she just hopes it'll be useful. Later, he and his companion arrive at a flower shop in the pouring rain for a final meeting. This owner, a woman in red he recognizes as the diva, welcomes them in out of the wet. She immediately starts brewing them some hot tea to warm up, while telling Gao Yang not to forget his old team, as Battle Tiger awkwardly hides his face nearby. Our boy promises he won't, sharing one last look with his friend before heading out on his mission. Gao Yang soaks in a rare moment of peace with his friends, knowing it's the last one for a while. But his mind flashes back to a stormy night and a shadowy meeting in a hot tub, because out in the rain he swears he sees the reflection of a man he shouldn't be seeing. A man who looks suspiciously like a ghost from his past. It's Ghost Horse, the guy he's 100% sure he saw get killed. Yet there he is, standing under an umbrella like it's just another Tuesday. Then in the blink of an eye, the impossible figure completely vanishes, leaving his companion to ask why he's suddenly staring into space like he's seen a ghost. He plays it cool, claiming he just mistook a stranger for an old classmate. But inside he's reeling, realizing he needs to report a potential resurrection to his boss. Later that night, all geared up in his best spy hoodie, Gao Yang heads out for his mission, slipping into a car that's been waiting for him on a dark street. His driver is none other than Battle Tiger, who greets him with a super comforting last send-off line, which has Gao Yang immediately convinced this is his own execution. His boss just laughs, clarifying he meant one last ride, which is only marginally better. While driving, Tiger mentions he followed up on the ghost horse sighting by checking his grave, and confirms the body is gone, making the whole resurrection theory suddenly very credible. Tiger gives him some final words of praise, so Gao Yang decides to make one last request, asking him to please look after his two friends who brought him into this world. But Tiger just shuts him down, refusing to get all sentimental before a high-stakes mission. Tiger promises to do his best to keep his friends safe, which is all Gao Yang needed to hear. With that settled, our boy heads out alone to begin his infiltration of the Killen Guild. He arrives at the Black Tortoise branch, and the lobby is just as ridiculously lavish as you'd expect. Two receptionists greet him with practiced smiles, asking how they can possibly assist him. Gao Yang introduces himself by his old codename, Black Horse, announcing he's here to join up. A quick check confirms his information is already in the system, making the process suspiciously smooth. She lays out his new gig, Protector and Team Captain, so he immediately asks about picking a new codename. Turns out there's a strict formula, a number followed by a natural element from a very long list. Without missing a beat, he picks the edgiest name he can think of, Shadow. This receptionist absolutely loves it, immediately registering his new, very cool guy identity. Just as he's getting settled, a new guy storms into the lobby with a problem. A huge dude on his phone, yelling about whether someone else has kicked the bucket. He's demanding to know the whereabouts of someone called Slow Snake, who's gone completely dark. This other receptionist scrambles, promising to try and get a hold of the missing agent. This mountain of a man finally notices Gao Yang, rudely asking where this little brat came from. His guide quickly explains that Gao Yang is just the latest recruit, trying to de-escalate. Perfect timing for this guy, who grabs our boy and demands a ride, asking for his new codename. Suddenly another, even angrier dude shows up, yelling at them for not explaining the rules to his new subordinate. This receptionist interrupts the shouting match, handing a phone to Mr. Greybear for an urgent call. He answers, and his face completely drops. It's the big boss, Elder Black Tortoise, on the other end. Greybear quickly assures his boss that the new recruit has arrived and everything is under control. This moment he hangs up, the rage vanishes, replaced by a cheerful smile as he introduces himself. Gao Yang just gives a curt hello, keeping his whole mysterious new guy persona on lock. Turns out Greybear is supposed to be his tour guide, but his day job as a cop just called with an urgent case. And not just any case, a serial killer is on the loose, and he is absolutely livid about it. Seeing his chance, Gao Yang immediately volunteers to tag along, because what's a better first day than a murder investigation? On the way, Greybear explains the killer is probably some cult fanatic, since the victims have nothing in common. Now, both in police uniforms, he warns Gao Yang that this particular crime scene is going to be rough. They arrive at a grim-looking building tucked away in a dark, narrow alley. Gray Bear gives him a quick reminder. He's just an auxiliary here, so he needs to play it cool. Stepping through the door, the atmosphere inside is immediately unsettling because the room is a full-blown horror show, with a body hanging and disturbing photos on the wall. This victim was a phone shop owner, stabbed clean through the heart about an hour before they arrived. It's clear he put up a fight, but judging by the overturned furniture, it didn't end well for him. And there on the wall is the killer's signature, a creepy eye symbol painted in blood. At that moment, a nerdy-looking officer walks in, immediately questioning who Gao Yang is. Gray Bear smoothly lies, claiming Gao Yang is a private detective he brought in to help find a breakthrough. This officer completely buys it, eagerly shaking our boy's hand and welcoming him to the team. He introduces himself as Jin Tianan, with a smug little smile that's totally out of place. Jin reports that forensics came up empty. All prints belong to staff, with no other traces left at the scene. Jin reports the lobby surveillance is useless, leaving the killer's entry point a total mystery. So Zhao Yang checks the windows himself but finds nothing, suggesting they just question the witness. They move on to interview the establishment's owner, who immediately claims she knows absolutely nothing. She explains the victim was a customer who scared off her staff and was found dead a short while later, which is when Gray Bear orders her and the entire staff down to the station for official statements. He makes it crystal clear that business is closed for the day, much to the annoyance of her employees. But just as they're about to leave, Gao Yang stops everyone, having spotted a potential lead. He calmly asks the proprietress to see her business ledger, which makes her immediately suspicious. Though a quick bit of intimidation from Gray Bear is all it takes for her to nervously comply. Gao Yang flips through the book, finding a list of some very creatively named services and their prices. He looks up with a knowing expression, having clearly connected some dots that Gray Bear is missing, and after a moment he snaps the book shut, announcing he's found what he needs. Outside, he tells a confused Gray Bear he'll reveal the clue at a team meeting tomorrow morning, and when questioned about the early hour, Gao Yang just says he has his arrangements. He then drops the perfect excuse with a smirk. He's just a high schooler who can only work nights. This next day, Gao Yang arrives bright and early for his first official meeting as team captain, walking in to find Gray Bear and his new subordinates already waiting for him. Gray Bear starts the introductions, pointing out a punk rock-looking guy named Ronnie, followed by the more studious-looking Shi-Ran, who gives his new captain a polite hello. And finally, there's Kan, the only girl on the team who's completely deaf to the world while gaming. And finally, there's Kan, who's way too busy with her mobile game to notice anything. Gray Bear immediately confiscates her phone, yanking her back to reality with a quick bonk. She starts freaking out about her game's crystal exploding, but he's not having any of it. It's only then she realizes the new captain is standing right there, and she goes into full panic mode. Her panic instantly flips to fangirling, asking the handsome new captain if he plays her favorite game. Gao Yang just plays it cool while Gray Bear holds her up by her overalls like a disobedient puppy. Suddenly, our boy's senses tingle as a dart comes flying straight for his head, which he dodges with zero effort, earning a nod of approval from the guy who threw it. Gao Yang gives him a dead-eyed stare, asking if this is really how they greet new people. This guy, Mamba, just smirks, saying it's his special way of saying hello. Our boy coldly tells him not to try that again, making it clear he's not some pushover. With the introductions out of the way, he takes his seat and announces he has a mission for them tonight. Ken is immediately disappointed, thinking they were just going to a net cafe, while Mamba looks intrigued. Gao Yang then slides the serial killer case files onto the table for everyone to see. She's immediately grossed out by the bloody crime scene photos, calling the killer cruel. Ronnie, the punk, couldn't be less impressed, questioning why they're dealing with a boring murder. This rest of the team seems to agree, finding his serious tone a bit out of place. He cuts through the chatter with a simple, direct order. Their mission is to catch the killer. Gray Bear is stunned, asking if he's already solved it, but Gao Yang just tells him he'll explain on the way. With that, he officially mobilizes the 5th action group, telling them it's time to move out. In the van, Gray Bear confirms the perimeter is locked down around the target area. Shi-Ran immediately asks for the big reveal. What's the connection between the victims? Gao Yang just smirks, dropping the theory that their killer might be a beast. Ken completely misses the point, agreeing that the killer is obviously a monster, metaphorically speaking. Mamba and Gray Bear are equally lost, though Mamba seems intrigued by the kid's weird angle. This whole team has a collective aha moment, all of them still on the wrong page entirely. This sends Kan into a dizzying spiral of pure, unadulterated confusion, and she gets super flustered, accusing them of making her look like the only one out of the loop. Gao Yang finally clarifies he means the killer attacked in their actual beast form, not their human one. This realization hits Ken like a truck. Beasts are hunting other beasts. He explains that the victims were tortured, which normally forces a berserk transformation, yet they all reverted to human form post-mortem, suggesting they were lost ones who couldn't fight back. Shi-Ran speculates that maybe an Awakener was responsible for the kills instead, but Gray Bear shuts that down since no sane Awakener would stir up trouble in their territory. Kan is still struggling to keep up, asking why any beast would break their own rules. Gao Yang recalls a past encounter, confirming it's entirely possible for them to kill their own kind. Gray Bear, still totally lost on the final piece, asks how he actually identified the suspect. Our boy points to the killer's signature, that bloody eye symbol, always drawn clockwise, and then he connects it to the proprietress's ledger, where every O was written the exact same way. Gray Bear is stunned by the reveal, but Mamba scoffs, saying that's hardly concrete proof. Gao Yang is totally unfazed, knowing his clue detector will tell him everything he needs to know. Meanwhile, Gray Bear confirms the perimeter is secure and the team is ready to move in. But first, our boy calls for a classic, super dramatic team huddle, extending his hand, and the whole squad piles in, all fired up for their very first mission together. Of course, this was just a convenient excuse for him to scan and copy his new teammates' talents. He sees Mamba's got a gecko ability for stealth, while Gray Bear can go full-on tank mode. Shiran can silence abilities in an area, and Ronnie can blast out a disorienting mental scream. And it turns out Can, the team slacker, has the highest ranking skill, invisibility, though it's still low level. He decides to copy Mamba's level 4 Gecko ability, which also triggers an upgrade for his own copy skill. With his power-up secured, they all do a big, cheesy Go team cheer under the moonlight. Gao Yang is just vibing with his new level up high, while Gray Bear critiques their terrible synchronization. With that out of the way, he splits the team, taking Gray Bear and Mamba to confront the suspect. They find the proprietress inside, coolly informing her they have a few more questions. She immediately gets defensive, refusing to go anywhere since she already gave her statement. Gray Bear cuts right to the chase, bluntly asking if she's the one who killed the victim. She puts on a big show, claiming she's just a harmless woman with no motive to kill anyone. That's when Gao Yang steps in, rephrasing the question with a deadly edge. Did she kill that beast? This woman feigns total confusion, acting like she has no idea what he's talking about. Her act quickly crumbles into pure panic as she swears she's just a normal, innocent human. But Gao Yang's eyes glow, activating his lie detector to see right through her desperate facade. This system screams, lying in his face, confirming the proprietress is the killer. With all the proof he needs, he gives the order for the team to move in. Gray Bear doesn't hesitate, immediately transforming into his massive beast form. But the proprietress has a trick of her own, revealing a monstrous, scaly new look. She immediately lunges at Gray Bear, all teeth and claws, prompting Gao Yang to warn everyone that she's gone completely berserk. Even in her monster form, she's still screaming about her innocence, a classic villain move. Gray Bear, however, is not in the mood for a debate, winding up for a punch. He lands a brutal right hook, sending a shockwave right across her face. She's clearly not used to getting hit this hard, staggering back in total shock. And Gray Bear follows up with another heavy blow, not giving her a second to recover. This punch sends her flying across the room, knocking her out cold. Gao Yang realizes even weak beasts are dangerous when cornered, deciding to take her in alive. Just as they're about to wrap things up, a door gets kicked clean off its hinges, revealing another beast, this one a humanoid lizard, has just crashed the party. This new arrival looks way more dangerous, with glowing red eyes and a much meaner posture. Mamba seems to know this guy, surprised that he actually showed up. This lizard man, called Slaughterer, immediately attacks, but Mamba parries the strike with his blade. Mamba tells the others to stay back, claiming this fight is his to handle. As Mamba leaps into the fray, Gray Bear warns his new captain to be careful. But Gao Yang steps in, hands wreathed in flames, telling them this one's his fight. And he unleashes a massive fireball straight at the lizard man's face, which explodes in a spectacular but ultimately useless display of power. Because Slaughterer just walks it off, his scaly hide barely even scorched. This lizard man lets out a furious roar and charges right back into the fray, prompting Gray Bear to finally step up and go into his own beast mode, his hand swelling into a massive clawed paw ready to do some damage. In his full bear form, he intercepts the charge, slamming the lizard into the floor, and then gives him a good old-fashioned intimidation roar for good measure. While he's got him pinned, Mamba zips in and plants a blade right in the lizard's eye, leaving Slaughterer whimpering as he's caught between a bear and a hard place. Mamba follows up with a whirlwind of slashes, moving too fast to track, kicking up a huge cloud of dust and purple energy from the sheer force of his assault. When it all clears, Slaughterer is down for the count, looking like a reptilian pincushion. Gray Bear and Mamba immediately start bickering over who gets the credit for the takedown. But Gao Yang cuts them off, telling them to quit arguing and focus on the mission. Unfortunately, he speaks too soon, realizing the proprietress used the chaos to escape. At that exact moment, the rest of the team finally shows up, asking if they missed anything. Gray Bear explains the killer got away, then asks Can if she saw her, who swears she was definitely not gaming. Gao Yang's eye glows, activating his lie detector on his own teammate because he's not buying that for a second. And just like that, the system confirms Can was definitely not paying attention, leaving Gao Yang to sigh. He quickly refocuses, telling Gray Bear to guard the entrance while he and Mamba track the killer. With the new plan set, the two of them head off into the dark alleys alone. Gao Yang worries she'll barge into a civilian's home, but Mamba smirks, saying she won't. He explains that berserk lost ones are like wounded animals. They just find a place to hide and revert. This raises a red flag for Gao Yang, who asks if Mamba has a habit of hunting them. Mamba clarifies he learned it from a twisted awakener who tortures them for sport, a totally normal friend to have. His tracking leads them to a huge, abandoned market where he's certain she's holed up. Gray Bear arrives as backup, questioning why they need 3 guys to catch one panic beast. Gao Yang isn't taking chances, ordering him to guard the only exit so she can't escape. Suddenly, Mamba shushes them, his senses picking up on something right above them. They all look up, realizing their target has taken to the rooftops to hide. Gao Yang gives a quick hand signal, silently coordinating their next move. He lays out the entire plan without a word, showing off some serious tactical skills. In a flash, they're on the roof, pulling the cover off a massive water tank, only to find it's full of fish, with no sign of the proprietress anywhere. Gray Bear immediately starts complaining they lost the trail, which seriously offends Mamba. This two start bickering again, completely ignoring their captain, who's still investigating. Gao Yang's focus is on the water, where a stream of bubbles is rising to the surface, and a monstrous face with glowing red eyes suddenly bursts out from below the fish. This proprietress explodes out of the water tank, cleaver raised for a surprise attack. And Mamba barely has time to shout a warning as she swings right for Gao Yang, landing on the rooftop with a feral snarl, clearly ready for round two. Gao Yang just casually blocks the cleaver with his forearm, looking completely unimpressed. He realizes she's still rational enough to use a weapon, which makes her serial killing even more deliberate. Before she can recover, Mamba unleashes a volley of throwing knives that pepper her arm, forcing her back as he closes the distance with his own blade drawn. But she's not done yet, gathering a ball of red energy for a desperate counterattack. Gao Yang quickly orders Mamba to take her alive, which he grudgingly accepts. Suddenly, a gunshot cracks through the night, coming from completely off-panel, and a bullet slams right into the proprietress's forehead, dropping her instantly. Both Gao Yang and Mamba are stunned, turning to see who just stole their collar. Turns out the shooter is a nervous-looking rookie cop with a bowl cut and some serious aim. A superior officer rushes in, telling the kid to hold his fire since they're all allies here. He calms the rookie down, who explains he just reacted to seeing an imminent attack. This kid immediately starts spiraling, terrified that he just took a life for the very first time. His superior steps in to cover for him, telling everyone he was the one who took the shot. Mamba, however, is not buying it, demanding to know why this guy is even on their scene. This rookie explains he lost his wallet, came back, and followed his Uncle Zhang out of worry. With the situation under control, Zhang tells the kid to call it in and secure the area. Zhang looks to Gao Yang for the next move, but our boy is just staring into space. This proprietress is officially down for the count, case seemingly closed. Gao Yang covers her up, saying they'll just have to file this as a standard homicide. But then something clicks in his head and a cold sweat breaks out, because he immediately tackles Yang, shoving him out of the line of fire, while Mamba sends Gray Bear flying with a kick to do the same. Gray Bear is completely lost, demanding to know what the hell is happening. Turns out the nervous rookie is the real villain, grinning like a psycho with his gun raised. Xiang is stunned, realizing the kid just awakened his powers right here and now. Gao Yang warns everyone not to move rashly, because this situation just got a lot worse. He pieces it together. The kid killed the target to lower their guard before trying to kill them all. This rookie then starts a whole villain speech about how Xiang was like a father to him, just as Xiang dives for cover behind some crates, and the kid immediately opens fire, screaming for him to die. Xiang's jacket gets shredded, but he manages to dodge the volley of bullets. This rookie starts taunting his former superior for hiding like a coward. Suddenly, a massive crate comes flying right at the kid's head, which he casually bats aside with one hand, completely unimpressed. It was Gao Yang who threw it, now sliding into a new hiding spot. This rookie's glasses gleam as he promises our boy can't hide forever. Mamba tries for a stealth attack from above, but the rookie is already looking right at him, and the kid immediately opens fire, shouting that he's found his target, forcing Mamba into a dramatic backflip just to dodge the hail of bullets. This rookie then taunts the whole crew, saying their killing intent gave them away. Gao Yang points out the obvious, he's out of ammo and should probably just surrender. But the kid just stands there, holding his now useless pistol for a moment, before dropping it with a smug grin, inviting all three of them to attack him at once. A system warning pops up for Gao Yang, confirming this guy is a top-tier threat. Before he can process that, he senses a new danger coming from right behind him. It's Gray Bear, who's suddenly gone full beast mode and is targeting his own captain. Gao Yang barely dodges a vicious swipe, realizing his own teammate is trying to kill him. And from the other side, Mamba unleashes a volley of his own throwing knives, which our boy dodges again, now understanding both his allies have turned on him. His own eyes start glowing red with rage, feeling a murderous impulse taking over. In his mind, he sees all three of them locked in a brutal battle to the death, but he manages to fight it, questioning why he suddenly wants to kill his friends. Turns out the rookie has a psychic talent, planting a seed of hatred through eye contact. Gao Yang pieces it together. The gun was just a distraction to activate this mind control. His teammates, however, are completely lost to the influence, now trying to murder each other. Realizing he has to intervene, Gao Yang powers up his flames to stop the fight. He immediately launches a fireball straight at the rookie, trying to break the spell, which engulfs the kid in a massive explosion of pure heat, while Mamba and Gray Bear are still trying to turn each other into shish kebabs. Gao Yang desperately yells out the kid's secret, warning them not to make eye contact. Too bad they're completely lost in the sauce, ignoring him and charging the real villain. Gray Bear roars, winding up for a full-power overhead smash to end this, bringing his massive paw down with enough force to flatten a car. And the rookie just casually catches it with one hand, smirking like it's nothing. This leaves Gray Bear completely speechless. His strongest attack just got shut down. Mamba uses the opening to flank him, sending a pair of knives flying, which land dead center in the kid's shoulder and forehead, a seemingly perfect hit. With the rookie pinned, Mamba closes in, telling him there's no escape. This kid just yanks the blade out of his own skull, look more bored than injured. From behind, Grey Bear closes in for the final blow, declaring the fight over. But in a flash, the rookie counters, sending both of them flying with brutal efficiency. This impact is so intense it kicks up a massive shockwave across the rooftop. A system notification pops up for Gao Yang, signaling a huge point reward for the takedown. But the earnings haven't stopped, which can only mean one thing. It's not over yet. Turns out the rookie is transforming, green energy erupting from his eyes as his body warps. He lets out a guttural roar, bulking up into some kind of monstrous new form. Gao Yang realizes the rookie's aura is completely twisted. He's not just awakened, he's a full-on beast now. Turns out the kid was already an awakener, but now he's been hijacked by some kind of grotesque parasite. Gao Yang figures the rookie willingly ditched his humanity to get this monstrous power-up. This monster suddenly starts praying to some mother of Kang, begging to be purified and saved from his sins, asking for a holy bloodline and ultimate strength in exchange for his eternal loyalty. With his creepy prayer complete, he starts charging up a nasty-looking ball of energy in his fist. Gao Yang's system alerts him that the point reward just skyrocketed, and he yells out a warning, as the monster unleashes a massive energy beam, forcing everyone to scatter for their lives. This attack isn't just energy, it's a swarm of black, writhing tendrils. Our boy realizes with horror that this thing can generate its own bioweapons. This monster roars again, swinging a glowing energy whip with devastating force, pushing both Gao Yang and Mamba back as they barely dodge the relentless barrage. Gao Yang knows that without the agility skill he copied from Mamba, he'd already be sliced to ribbons. But then the monster grabs its head, screaming in pain from the knife still lodged in its skull. He starts begging his new god to save him, terrified that he's about to disappear. This quickly devolves into him just screaming the word humans over and over, completely losing it. This scene clicks for Gao Yang. This is exactly what happened to Red Madness, meaning Ghost Horse is behind this. With the monster out of control, Gao Yang barks out a new plan for his team to take it down. Mamba and Grey Bear immediately confirm, ready to put this thing in the ground for good. Just as they're about to move, the monster freezes, having spotted two civilians wandering near the entrance. This monster locks onto the civilians, its mind completely fracturing as it just repeats, humans. Grey Bear immediately roars at the two kids, telling them to get the hell out of there. This Mohawk guy grabs his friend and tries to drag her to safety, but the monster is already powering up. In a panic, the girl screams out, activating her own awakened ability. And just like that, they both vanish, leaving the monster totally confused about where its new toys went. Mamba uses the opening to get right in the monster's face, drawing its attention away from the civilians. It responds by unleashing another one of those massive energy beams straight at him. But Gao Yang intercepts it with a huge blast of his own flames, creating a massive explosion. This monster gets a face full of fire, looking genuinely shocked that someone could match its power. With the beast distracted, Mamba leaps onto its shoulders, ready to drive his blade home. He plunges his knife deep into the back of its neck, aiming for a critical spot. But the monster just erupts with energy, blasting him away before he can do real damage. Mamba lands hard, his arm shredded from the counterattack, and he's not getting up quickly. Turns out the energy blast wasn't just a push, it sliced right through his arm. He grits his teeth, activating his regeneration ability, but he's out of the fight for now. At that exact moment, the monster appears right behind Gao Yang, ready for another ambush. It's crackling with power, and Gao Yang realizes his copied agility skill just ran out. Perfect timing. Before the monster can land a hit, Grey Bear comes charging in like a freight train to intercept. This monster's attack freezes mid-swing, its eyes bulging as it gets choked by something. And it turns out the civilians are back, with the Mohawk kid using a wire to restrain the beast. Gao Yang yells at the kid to hold the monster steady, because a few seconds is all he needs. And this Mohawk kid, Ronnie, confidently accepts, saying the beast's death knell is about to ring, unleashing a massive sonic blast that completely stuns the monster in its tracks, which is the exact opening Gao Yang was waiting for. Realizing the kid's talent is a perfect counter. With the beast locked down, our boy powers up his flames for the finishing blow, launching a massive firestorm with a promise to burn down the entire organization behind this mess. In the aftermath, the monster is zipped up tight in a body bag, mission officially complete. This guild's specialized cleanup crew arrives to haul away the remains, closing the case for now. This next night, Gao Yang gets an encrypted text from the guild while chilling on a balcony, summoning him to the old fisherman's wharf after midnight for a clandestine meeting. He arrives to find a luxury yacht waiting for him at the pier, looking very conspicuous, and as he steps onto the deck, a voice from inside invites him in. Inside, a man in a suit introduces himself as Elder Xuan Wu, one of the guild's leaders, and Gao Yang immediately understands this is a summons from the top brass. This Xuan Wu reveals he's one of the Seven Shadows, finally getting to meet our boy in person. And Gao Yang is floored. Recognizing him as a famous actor his own mom has a crush on. After a very awkward greeting, the man tells him to just call him Mr. Yan, who then checks his watch, saying he only has 20 minutes to spare. He praises Gao Yang's performance, saying he exceeded all expectations by completing the mission so efficiently. Yan explains that this Mother of Kang cult is now a top priority, since beasts are breaking their own rules. Gao Yang cuts to the chase, knowing this meeting isn't just for a pat on the back. Yan confirms it, revealing the guild recruited him specifically for his lie detector talent, and our boy immediately starts sweating, realizing he's been dragged into some high-level corporate espionage. Turns out there's a mole deep within the guild's middle management, which Gao Yang knows means the traitor is either a guardian or an elite. He offers to play detective and sniff out the rat himself. But Yan shuts that down, warning him that if the mole learns about his ability, he's a dead man. With the business talk over, Gao Yang changes the subject with a question of his own, asking the world-famous actor if he's ever actually traveled outside their city. Yan admits he never has, and is just as curious about the outside world as Gao Yang is. He then drops a bombshell: a famous director he idolized, and his entire country, never actually existed. This hits home for Gao Yang, who realizes all the media he's grown up with is just part of an elaborate lie. Yan wonders why their cosmic overlord would create such a detailed fake world instead of just locking them in a box, and he admits he has a pretty solid guess as to why. Gao Yang gives a knowing smirk, implying they've both arrived at the same terrifying conclusion. Their shared theory is simple: this fake world exists because there was once a real one. Yan is seriously impressed, calling Gao Yang a natural leader for thinking on his level. Just then, his manager shows up to drag the celebrity away for a recording session. Yan quickly introduces his workaholic manager, who apparently keeps his whole life in order. And with a quick goodbye, the guild leader heads off, leaving Gao Yang to ponder their reality-shattering chat. After his meeting, Gao Yang is left alone on the yacht, trying to process their entire world being a lie. His existential crisis is immediately interrupted by a white-haired girl hanging upside down from the ceiling, which understandably freaks him out, causing him to summon a fireball on pure instinct. He quickly realizes it's Chu Shou, the ghost girl, who's just playfully taunting him from above. While he's worried she's going to fall, she just casually says she came out to find him. She hops down onto the deck, beckoning him to follow with a mischievous grin. Then she quickly shushes him, warning that if the captain wakes up, she's in for a world of hurt. To make things even weirder, she pulls out a firework and just hands it to him. Turns out this is her idea of sharing, since he was nice enough to invite her out last time. Gao Yang agrees to the fireworks, but insists they do it somewhere that won't sink the luxury yacht. So they hop into a tiny dinghy, where he asks the obvious question: where'd she get the explosives? She proudly admits she borrowed them by kicking in the boss's door, leaving him completely speechless. Her logic is that her big sister says borrowed things don't ever need to be returned, because apparently this is just a small piece of what the world owes them for their suffering. With that ominous declaration, she uses her own ghostly power to light the fuse. A single firework shoots into the night sky, creating a beautiful, fleeting explosion. Unfortunately, her excitement rocks their tiny boat, and Gao Yang yells at her to stay still. But it's way too late, and the whole thing capsizes, dumping them both into the ocean. Chushua immediately starts panicking, screaming for help as she thrashes around in the water, and Gao Yang just stares, completely baffled that a terrifying ghost apparently can't swim. As she sinks, Chushua laments that she didn't get to see enough fireworks. But Gao Yang immediately grabs her wrist, pulling her from the depths, yanking the panicking ghost back toward the relative safety of their tiny boat. Back on board, she tearfully thanks him for the rescue, declaring them friends. And with her cat ears now showing, she promises to be the one to save him next time. Gao Yang's only thought is that he'd be grateful if she just didn't get him killed in the first place. Realizing this ghost is way more fragile than she lets on, he decides to take her somewhere else. Meanwhile, at a lonely-looking mansion, someone is having a party for one, belting out a song about how awesome it is to be invincible, right before the massive window behind him completely shatters into pieces. This singer spins around, demanding to know who's there, finding Chu Shushu perched in the broken frame. This guy Zakai immediately gets defensive, ready to fight for messing with his brother, only for Gao Yang to land right behind her, trying to stop this whole mess. He asks why she couldn't just use the doorbell, but she insists the guy couldn't hear it. So Gao Yang is forced to make a very awkward introduction between his two very different friends. Zakai just rolls with it, calls her a bit dim, and decides to go to bed. Internally, Gao Yang has to admit that his friend isn't exactly wrong about her. A little later, he offers Chu Shua a hairdryer to deal with her wet hair, which she immediately mistakes for some kind of weapon, hissing at him defensively. So he ends up drying her hair for her, and she absolutely melts from the attention. Gao Yang asks if her mysterious big sister is going to be worried she's been out all night, but she just grins, saying her sister sleeps for ages and will never even notice she's gone. He offers her a cake, but she sadly admits her sister forbids human food. It apparently makes her weak, which naturally leads Gao Yang to ask the million-dollar question. What exactly does she eat then? And with a terrifyingly sweet smile, she just casually drops that her main food source is humans. Our boy immediately pictures a gruesome scene, asking if she means she literally devours people. But she clarifies she just eats their energy, explaining ghosts are awakeners who get stronger by absorbing it. Now, slightly less horrified, he asks if she's actually ever, eaten anyone before. She admits she hasn't, because the few people she's tried to bite just tasted bad. Then she gets a little too close for comfort, giving him a very curious look, and declares that he smells absolutely delicious, which is not the compliment he was hoping for. Her sister even promised to catch him for her once she's stronger, and Gao Yang realizes he's being fattened up. He quickly plays the friendship card, reminding her that good friends don't eat each other, which seems to work for a second before she suddenly gets super sleepy and decides it's bedtime. Just like that, she's out cold on the couch, leaving him to marvel at how she's still just a kid. Come morning, Gao Yang finally stirs after their absolutely chaotic night. He looks over to find Shu Shue gone, with only her dress and some thing left on the sofa. That thing turns out to be a white cat, which gives a big stretch and a little meow. And that's when it hits him. He recognizes this cat from another mission, putting the terrifying pieces together. He calls out Shu Shu's name, and the cat just looks at him smugly, confirming his wildest theory. Gao Yang lunges forward, yelling for Shu Shue to wait, but the cat just casually leaps out the window. He realizes she was the cat that bit those other guys, and that he was her original tasty target. With that unsettling revelation put on hold, the scene shifts back to his much more mundane life. Back in the classroom, the proctor officially calls time on their grueling 2-day mock exam, and Gao Jiang lets out a sigh of relief, glad the academic nightmare is finally over for a bit. But just as he's about to pack up, he gets an unexpected tap on the shoulder. It's a classmate named Niu Xuan, who's suddenly acting all friendly and asking to hang out. Gao Yang instantly remembers this is the same jerk who provoked him at a funeral with some cruel jokes. He'd lost his temper and unleashed his killing intent, scaring the guy into a pathetic, groveling apology. Now, Niu Xuan is trying to play it cool, acting like he sincerely wants to be friends. Our boy immediately reads the situation. This guy is a classic bully who's now trying to suck up to him. This invitation is to explore a haunted high school, but Gao Yang senses something else entirely, a rune cave. A potential mission falling right into his lap, he smirks and agrees to go find some excitement. This school's urban legend involves a student getting rabies and going on a deadly biting spree 18 years ago. Soon enough, they arrive at the abandoned school, which is looking every bit as creepy as the stories say. This other guys are debating the legend, with one thinking it sounds like a cheap, made-up zombie story. Another dude chimes in with his own version, claiming a teacher found a ghost infant and got cursed. Niu Xuan scoffs at the ghost stories, and Gao Yang just plays along, calling them ridiculous. But internally, he's already comparing this to the Gu village, wondering how a rune cave was missed here. With the spooky setup complete, Niu Xuan starts climbing the wall, telling them to hurry up for the girls inside. Niu Xuan spots the girls waiting on the basketball court, immediately trying to play it cool. He introduces his crew, including Gao Yang, with a totally unearned level of suave confidence. These girls are introduced as two sisters, plus a third who's completely zoned out in the back. Turns out the third girl is way too busy with a team fight on her phone to care about introductions. But when she finally looks up, she completely flaks, but recognizing Gao Yang as her captain, which leaves everyone else totally baffled, wondering how these two could possibly know each other. Gao Yang calmly explains they just play mobile games together, and he's her in-game team leader. This girl, Guan, immediately panics, trying way too hard to convince everyone it's nothing more than that. Niu Xuan just teases Gao Yang for being a secret Casanova, much to our boy's awkward dismay. With the weird reunion over, Niu Xun gets everyone hyped to finally start their ghost hunt. Guan pulls Gao Yang aside, shocked he's a high schooler, but he quickly tells her to keep it quiet. She agrees, then immediately asks why he's here instead of trying to date one of the older girls. He quietly admits he's only here to investigate a potential rune cave, not for the cheap thrills. Turns out, she was just dragged along by her roommates with the promise of a ranked gaming session later. This group finally makes their way into the seriously ominous-looking school building. As they head up the stairs, someone mentions the haunting is supposedly on the 5th floor. Niu Xuan confirms it, acting like the brave leader of this whole ill-advised expedition. They reach the 5th floor landing, and he points them toward the legendary haunted classroom. This camera zooms in on the sign for Year 3, Class 2, the source of all the spooky stories. And Niu Xuan takes a nervous peek inside, ready to see if the legends are actually true. Niu Xuan takes a peek inside and is immediately greeted by a body hanging from the ceiling fan, which sends the girls behind him into a panic, with one saying she knew this was a bad idea. He insists they look for themselves, revealing the body is just a school uniform jacket. One of the sisters is absolutely furious, realizing it's just a cheap prank he probably set up. With the lame prank over, the whole group finally steps into the trashed, moonlit classroom. Gao Yang internally notes that this supposedly haunted classroom has become a total tourist trap. One of Niu Xuan's buddies complains that for a mysterious place, it's suspiciously ghost-free. This older sister, Zhou Jing, explains that you have to actually look for the ghost to get it to appear. Her brilliant idea is to play a summoning game, Pen Spirit, using items found right here. Naturally, the rest of the group, Guan included, thinks she's completely lost her mind. She immediately calls them out, asking if they're really chickening out on protecting the girls. These guys puff out their chests, claiming they're full of yang energy and totally not scared at all. Guan immediately grabs onto Gao Yang for protection, but he just reminds her she's an awakener herself. So they begin the ritual, using a chalkboard eraser on a desk covered in written characters. They ask if the spirit will answer them, and the eraser slowly starts to move, landing on the character for yes, causing someone to shout that the spirit has manifested. Now fully invested, the group asks the big question, are there any unclean things in this classroom? This eraser slides across the desk once more, landing squarely on yes again. That confirmation is enough to send the girls into a full-blown panic. One of the skeptical guys takes over, asking the spirit if a lot of people died in this school. This eraser slides over to no, completely contradicting its last answer and confusing everyone. This girls start to panic, but Jo Jing warns that you can't just stop a ritual halfway through. She tries politely dismissing the spirit, thanking it for its time and hoping it'll just leave. But instead of leaving, the eraser starts spinning wildly out of control on the desk, lifting off their fingers and moving entirely on its own, which is definitely not part of the game. One of Niu Xuan's buddies immediately suggests they just bail on this whole cursed idea. This other sister completely loses it, screaming that she wants to go home right now. But Zhou Jing grabs her arm with a death grip, coldly telling her no one is allowed to leave. With her face completely shadowed, she repeats that it's much harder to send a god away than to invite one. Then her face twists into a demonic snarl as she screams that they're all going to die here, sending the entire group scrambling for their lives in a full-blown ghost-fueled panic. Her own sister is on the floor, absolutely terrified and begging for her life. Guan, meanwhile, runs straight to Gao Yang, begging her captain to protect her from the monster. This possessed Zhou Jing turns her attention to him, lunging forward to make him her next victim. Gao Yang, however, just smirks at her unimpressed and tells her to keep up the act. Her demonic face instantly vanishes, replaced with pure shock as she asks how he possibly knew. He calmly explains he saw her other hand under the desk moving a magnet to control the eraser. Turns out the whole thing was a prank, and they didn't tell Guan because she's a terrible liar. Gao Yang asks if she's in cahoots with Niu Xuan, but she says they barely even know each other. This real motive is revealed. Niu Xuan cheated on her best friend, and this was all just petty revenge. Zhou Jing pulls out her phone, ready to show everyone the hilarious footage of the guys screaming their heads off. But the recording is just a screen of static, and her perfect revenge plan is suddenly dead in the water. At that exact moment, Gao Yang's phone starts ringing, breaking the very awkward silence. It's one of Niu Xuan's friends on the line, absolutely losing it and begging him to come quick. This guy screams that they're at the playground flagpole, and Gao Yang realizes this is no longer a prank. As they all sprint out of the classroom, the girls start to worry they might have actually broken the poor guy. They arrive to find Niu Xuan's buddies in a full-blown panic, insisting that this is very, very real. His friend explains that after fleeing the classroom, Niu Xuan just bolted for the flagpole and froze up. Now he's just marching in place on the platform, chanting numbers like some kind of possessed wind-up toy. Zhou Jing thinks he's just scared stiff, but Gao Yang knows a guy this obsessed with his image wouldn't act so weird. He steps forward and tries to snap him out of it, calling out Niu Xuan's name. But the possessed bully just lunges at him with glowing eyes, still chanting his creepy drill commands. A system window pops up, confirming this is an unknown territory. Yep, it's a rune cave, all right. Thinking on his feet, Gao Yang barks out a military command of his own. Attention! This order works instantly as Niu Xuan snaps into a rigid pose before just collapsing backwards. With the immediate danger over, Gao Yang checks on the unconscious bully and tells the others to call for an ambulance. Niu Xuan gets carted off to the hospital where he remains stable but in a convenient coma. By the time they finish giving statements at the police station, it's already 5 in the morning. Just as he's about to head home, a car pulls up and a man inside calls him captain. Turns out Guan, convinced she was going to jail, messaged her other team captain for help. Gao Yang just smirks, thinking to himself that Guan is absolutely terrible at keeping secrets. This other captain, Grey Bear, immediately asks if he found a rune cave, but Gao Yang plays it cool. Grey Bear is already planning to mobilize their entire group to seize the territory for a huge merit point reward. Changing the subject, Gao Yang asks if Grey Bear has ever actually been inside a rune cave before. This guy admits he hasn't, but he's survived 2 other trips through the gates of hell, which isn't exactly comforting. They agree to report the potential find to an elder Shu and drive off into the night. 3 days later, the scene shifts back to the hospital, where Niu Xuan has finally woken up. Gao Yang and the bully's 2 buddies are right there waiting for him in his room. Without missing a beat, Gao Yang starts asking Niu Xuan what he remembers from that night at the school. One of the friends immediately gets nervous, worried that pushing him will trigger another breakdown. But Niu Xuan is surprisingly lucid, explaining he didn't tell the police because they'd never believe him. He then drops a bombshell, claiming that during his coma he saw visions of his past life. In this life, he was a bookish kid named Li Zhuanghu, who was hated by his classmates at that very same school. His personal nightmare was being forced to lead calisthenics, where his awkwardness made him a laughingstock. Gao Yang listens intently, realizing this story is far too detailed to be made up and asks what happened next. Niu Xuan explains that the memory just ends abruptly right there in high school. There is no after. His friend with the glasses freaks out, connecting the dots. The school incident was 18 years ago, and Niu Xuan is 18. This chilling implication hangs in the air. He might actually be the reincarnation of that student. Gao Yang notes how Niu Xuan's entire personality seems to have changed since waking up. His thoughts are interrupted by a text message, a mandatory summons to the Xuanwu branch headquarters. Gao Yang tells the newly reformed bully to rest up, as he's got a mandatory meeting to attend. He arrives at HQ to find Grey Bear and the crew laughing at another team's total failure. Turns out the other squad, Team 4, is notoriously arrogant, so watching them crash and burn is a treat. Gao Yang quickly realizes this emergency meeting is probably to discuss that very same screw-up. At that exact moment, the doors slide open with some seriously unearned dramatic flair, revealing the infamous Team 4, led by their smug-looking captain, Ju Han. His crew is a real collection of characters, from a guy in a loud shirt to some stone-cold elites. Juhan immediately gets in Gao Yang's face, sizing him up as the captain of the 5th Action Group. He then sneers that with a snot-nosed brat in charge, Gao Yang's team is a joke that should just disband. Our boy is completely unfazed, just thinking that Team 4's pride is really just being a massive jerk. Grey Bear, however, isn't having any of it, slamming his fist down and telling the guy to watch his mouth. He completely loses it, demanding to know if Juhan's parents ever taught him basic manners. Guan, ever the helpful commentator, just compliments Grey Bear on his excellent roast. She then tries to hype up Gao Yang's past achievements, but he quickly tells her to tone it down. Gao Yang cuts through the petty squabbling, reminding everyone they're supposed to be in a meeting. So the two rival teams take their seats, the air practically crackling with hostility between them. Just as things are about to get started, a mysterious figure in a mask and cap walks in late. This guy is clearly the one in charge, taking his seat at the head of the table to begin the briefing. He starts by confirming that Gao Yang's team was the one that discovered the anomaly at the school. Then he adds that he sent Team 4 to investigate afterwards, but they came back completely empty-handed. Juhan starts his little monologue by claiming they've already investigated the school a dozen times. He then patronizes Gao Yang, calling him the new captain who's just wasting everyone's time. But Grey Bear immediately fires back, suggesting maybe Team 4 is just completely incompetent. This earns him a death glare from one of Juhan's teammates, who tells him to watch his mouth. Grey Bear just plays dumb, pretending he can't hear the sparrow chirping at him. That, of course, sends her into a rage, and she slams her hand right on the table. Juhan cuts in with a smug grin, pointing out his team has 0 casualties, unlike some others. And that's the last straw for Grey Bear, who's about to explode before the masked leader shuts him down. This boss reminds them they're all on the same side and need to cooperate, not squabble over credit. He lays out the plan. Team 4 will search the school again, and Gao Yang's team will assist them. His one non-negotiable rule is that any and all infighting is strictly forbidden. Both captains reluctantly agree, though you can practically feel the animosity between them. Back with his own crew, Gao Yang lays down the law for the upcoming joint mission. He tells them there's one single unbreakable rule they must all follow, and that rule is that every single one of them better come back alive. His team, completely unified, gives him a solid yes sir in response. With the briefing over, they head out into the night for the mission. Inside the car, Gao Yang takes a moment to himself, clearly thinking something over. He pulls up his system to spend some points, but his attempt to boost his stats fails, because it turns out his talent plunder skill has hit its 300-point attribute cap. He tries to upgrade his luck, but the system gives him a very unhelpful figure it out yourself. Then it hits him. He's been dumping points into every stat except the one he's complaining about. So, with a newfound sense of genius, he decides to finally invest in his own good fortune. And just like that, his luck stat levels up to grade 3, proving that sometimes the answer is just that simple. This also unlocks a new feature called the Talent Temple, which sounds way too important to ignore. He's immediately warped to some kind of cosmic dimension with a massive glowing obelisk. And yeah, he's got to admit, the place is pretty magnificent. Meanwhile, back at the school, Team 4 is already getting to work, with one member summoning a massive golden eagle. This is Xiang Dai, their resident bird king, who sends her avian spies out to scout the area. Juhan then orders their support guy, Old Xiao, to start handing out buffs. This guy in the Hawaiian shirt touches his teammates, wrapping them in a purple power-up aura. He even offers to buff Gao Yang's crew, since his talent is basically a walking stat booster. Their archer, Shu, takes up a sniper position, ready to provide ranged support. And the rest of the squad gets ready. A blindfolded guy with super senses, and a woman whose fists are basically anesthetics. Gao Yang watches them assemble, realizing this team might have the skills to back up their terrible attitudes. Of course, Juhan immediately tells Gao Yang's team to just sit back and try not to get in the way. Grey Bear is about 2 seconds from starting a fight, grabbing Gao Yang and asking who the hell he's looking at. But Gao Yang shuts him down, reminding him of their orders from the boss. With a cold look, he just tells his hot-headed teammate to follow the plan. Just then, Xiangdi's birds find their target, and she announces that the hunt is on. Xiangdi's bird pinpoints the anomaly's location, the old-school auditorium. Both teams gather outside, the air practically buzzing with their mutual dislike. Juhan immediately finds a fresh footprint, proving someone's already inside. They find the main doors cracked open, basically a formal invitation to a trap. A strange noise suddenly echoes from the darkness, putting everyone on edge. And Gao Yang instantly recognizes it, yelling that it's a trumpeter they have to stop. Not to be outdone, Juhan just kicks the door wide open himself. This combined squads file cautiously into the massive pitch-black hall. Juhan notes the music has stopped, but he knows the enemy is close. Up on the stage, a lone figure stands silhouetted against the gloom, who then taps a microphone that crackles to life after decades of silence. That voice is chillingly familiar, and Gao Yang's face drains of all color. Because it's Niu Xuan, the supposedly comatose bully, standing right there on stage. Juhan demands to know who he is, so Gaoyang explains the flagpole incident. Taking charge, Juhan marches forward, demanding to know what the hell is going on. But Niu Xuan is completely lost in a memory, talking about giving a speech here 20 years ago. He calls it the most glorious moment of his life, addressing over 1,000 people. His demeanor suddenly shifts, asking Gaoyang if he remembers Wan Siqi's memorial service. He recalls seeing Gaoyang's rage over her death and how it made him feel terrified. A flashback shows a hooded man as Niu Xuan admits he felt a bone-deep terror he couldn't explain. He explains his fear wasn't human weakness but a beast's instinct recognizing a true predator, an awakener. Niu Xuan tells Gaoyang that without his interference, he would have died believing he was just human. With a truly twisted smile, he thanks our boy for helping him awaken his real self. Then he throws his arms wide, screaming to the heavens that he rejects his humanity. Just as dozens of monstrous creatures smash through the windows, swarming Juhan's team, Gang sees even more pouring in from the back, cutting off any chance of a clean escape. While Juhan orders a full frontal assault, Gang tells his own team to hold formation and cover each other. Niu Xuan, still on stage, smugly presents this chaotic ambush as his little gift to them. That's all the invitation Grey Bear needs, letting out a furious roar as he charges in. He transforms into his massive bear form, immediately starting to tear the monsters apart. Guan is right behind him, a blur of motion as she slices through the horde with a glowing blade. But the creatures are tactical, bypassing the brawlers to make a beeline for the support members. As they close in on the backline, Guan's sister begins a mysterious 3-second countdown, which causes one of the monsters to suddenly get confused and yell for a retreat. Gaoyang steps in to protect his crew, his hands igniting with a familiar orange flame. He then unleashes a massive wave of fire, engulfing the entire hall in a blazing inferno. Juhan, completely unimpressed by the heat, just punches a monster's head clean off. He even has the nerve to say the fire improves visibility before ordering his team to kill everything. This whole auditorium descends into a chaotic symphony of fire, claws, and brutal fighting. Gaoyang faces Niu Xuan, who calmly tells him to enjoy the slaughter a little longer. With a snap of his fingers, Niu Xuan gives the order, just sitting there calmly telling his horde to keep on killing. Grey Bear immediately clocks the strategy, drown them in an endless tide of monsters. And right on cue, the Psycho unleashes another wave of even nastier creatures. Gaoyang, however, keeps his team tight, ordering them to hold formation and cover each other. Meanwhile, Juhan is already deep in the fray, going hand-to-hand with the beasts, effortlessly blocking a strike from some kind of centaur thing, his eyes glowing with focus as he prepares a brutal counterattack. He lands a solid punch right to the monster's jaw, then launches himself into the air for a devastating finishing blow. Turns out his talent lets him stack damage by hitting the spot repeatedly, and even Gaoyang has to admit the guy's got the skills to back up his awful personality. But this is no time for spectating, so our boy gets right back to work, unleashing a massive firestorm that incinerates everything in its path. Over on the other side, Grey Bear is just having a grand old time punching monsters into paste, when a winged beast dives at him, only to get an arrow straight through the chest. Team 4's Archer just gives a nod, claiming it was a lucky shot on his way elsewhere. Just then, one of the female members of Team 4 gets snatched by a tentacled creature, which she calmly identifies as a devourer while being hoisted into the air. But she just smirks, telling the monster it has no idea who it's messing with. This woman with the anesthetic fists gets her leg caught by a hulking gray monster. But she just smirks, announcing her special technique is the drunken fist, and lands a devastating glowing punch right under the creature's jaw. This monster is completely dazed, leaving her to just casually walk away from the fight. Elsewhere, Shangdi's birds dive in, with one grabbing a monster by the skull, and her entire flock descends, a whirlwind of talons and beaks tearing into the horde. These are not your average pigeons, they're straight up shredding these things to pieces. This blindfolded swordsman zips past, his glowing blades forming a deadly X, and after slicing the monster, he tells his teammate not to panic, who promptly tells him to get lost. Grey Bear, currently being dogpiled by smaller creatures, roars for everyone to cover their ears. A massive sonic shockwave erupts from the auditorium, shaking the very foundation, which completely disorients the monsters, scrambling their senses for a crucial half-second. And as he says, half a second is more than enough time to start smashing heads. Not to be outdone, Gaoyang summons a massive, swirling vortex of pure flame, while Team 4's swordsman becomes a whirlwind of death, cutting down beasts with blinding speed. Grey Bear stands over a pile of smoldering corpses, looking extremely pleased with himself. But the fight isn't over as someone screams a warning to a teammate named Can. Gaoyang's face twists in horror as he realizes what's happening. Because Can is being ambushed by another girl who was hiding among them, and the attacker is one of the missing students, now a monster, screaming at Can to just shoot her. This blindfolded swordsman moves to strike the monster girl down, but she instinctively kicks him away, still fighting for her life. Her other teammates don't hesitate, immediately opening fire on their former friend. Can screams for them to stop, absolutely horrified by what's happening. A flashback reveals the monster was her roommate, Ah Huan, now covered in blood. She was just supposed to be on a date tonight, not turning into a monster here. One of the guys notices Can's hand is badly injured from the ambush, but she's already healing it, having copied a gecko's regeneration ability. Overwhelmed with guilt, she apologizes to her captain for freezing up. She just couldn't pull the trigger after seeing the necklace she'd given her friend. Her captain gives her a cold, hard 30 seconds to get it together. This whole team just has to stand there while she breaks down completely. After a moment, she pulls herself together, assuring him she's okay now. With that, the rest of the squad welcomes her back into the fold. Grey Bear, meanwhile, is just glad the fight is over, stretching his exhausted muscles, and immediately starts teasing him, pointing out his chest hair is getting thicker. He flexes proudly, calling it the undeniable charm of a mature man. So naturally, his teammate immediately gives him a quick trim with a combat knife, claiming he's just doubling the charm while everyone else cracks up. Gao Yang watches them all, a faint smile on his face as the team finally unwinds. Gao Yang watches his crew, thinking they're a chaotic but surprisingly caring bunch. Meanwhile, Juhan's team confirms Niu Xuan isn't among the corpses, wondering if he escaped. But Gaoyang looks out the shattered window and spots him immediately. Niu Xuan is just wandering away from the scene like he's in a complete daze. He's doing some kind of bizarre morning exercise, totally ignoring the two squads. While Juhan is baffled, Gaoyang realizes Niu Xuan isn't a trumpeter, he's a lost one. A normal trumpeter can't organize a tactical ambush. Niu Xuan was in full control of the horde. This only way he could pull it off was by tapping into a rune circuit to amplify his power. Turns out a nearby rune cave is letting him create an energy resonance for temporary monster control. Hearing this, Juhan just rolls up his sleeves and orders Team 4 to move in. Gaoyang immediately tells him to hold on, warning him to watch Niu Xuan's movements. Too late as Niu Xuan finishes his creepy gymnastics routine, lifting up by the flagpole. He's completely lost it, calling out for his mom and begging her not to abandon him. Then his body starts to violently contort, muscles ripping as he begins to transform, becoming a screaming muscular monstrosity inside a sphere of raw red energy. This energy sphere cracks like an egg, the reflection shattering in someone's eye, before it just explodes in a massive shower of gore and raw power. Can only watch in horror, completely stunned that he just self-destructed. But Gaoyang gets a system alert. His lucky points are now doubled, a sure sign something terrible is coming. This rest of the squad is on high alert, knowing this is far from over. This shockwave from Niu Xuan's explosion sends one of the students flying, screaming in agony. Everyone is hit with a suffocating pressure, a bone-deep dread that feels like the end of the world. But just as quickly, the feeling vanishes, leaving Gaoyang to wonder where it all went. His team is just as rattled, trying to get their bearings after that psychic assault. Shangde suddenly panics, crying out that she can no longer sense her child, which leads to a very awkward moment where her teammate asks if she's pregnant. Grey Bear has to step in and clarify she meant her giant, monster-shredding golden eagle. Meanwhile, one of Juhan's guys notices something even stranger. The battlefield is completely clean. All the blood, gore, and even the weeds from before have just disappeared into thin air. Gaoyang puts the pieces together, calmly announcing they've arrived in the rune cave. Juhan is skeptical, but our boy explains they've been dragged into a special, isolated dimension. Turns out, this isn't just any pocket space. It's a perfect replica of the school from 18 years ago. So Niu Xuan's self-destruction wasn't an attack, it was a teleportation spell that trapped them all. Juhan theorizes the monsters here are probably stuck in a time loop, replaying past events. Grey Bear asks if the plan is the same as last time. Find the boss, kill it, and take the rune to escape. Shangdai correctly points out that's a whole lot of guessing for a life-or-death situation, so Gaoyang decides to test the theory, telling Grey Bear to just try walking out of the school. This big guy confidently strides toward the edge of the campus, ready to prove him wrong, only to slam his foot right into an invisible, shimmering energy wall. He pushes against the barrier, but it's no use. They are well and truly trapped in here. Grey Bear confirms it. They're sealed inside this place by a very real, very annoying invisible wall. One of Gaoyang's teammates points out that unlike the last time loop, this school is completely deserted. Our boy just smirks, casually suggesting everyone's probably just asleep in the dorms since it's nighttime. And she completely buys it, which is either adorable or a massive liability. Gaoyang gives her a little pep talk, telling her it's good to think things through and ask questions. Meanwhile, Juhan gets practical, ordering his squad to map out the exact boundaries of their new prison. 20 minutes later, they've confirmed the energy dome covers the entire campus, from the gym to the church. With the perimeter established, all eyes turn to the eerily silent student dorms. Gaoyang sends one of his guys, Mamba, to scout the building for any signs of life. This guy immediately springs into action, using some kind of leg-based power to launch himself forward, scaling the side of the dorm building like it's nothing at all. Grey Bear starts heckling him, asking why he's already worn out after just one fight. But Mamba lands with bad news. His talent just stopped working, and he tells everyone else to check theirs. Grey Bear scoffs, absolutely certain his own powers are just fine, until he tries to activate them and gets nothing but a sad little puff of air for his efforts. This panic spreads as the girl realizes her invisibility is gone, and Gaoyang confirms his is down too. Over on the other team, Juhan and his crew discover they're all in the same powerless boat. Grey Bear immediately blames the guy with the glasses, accusing him of using a mute skill on everyone. But Gaoyang puts it together. The rune circuit in this cave is a support type that's suppressing all their abilities. Left with no other options, he decides it's time to check his system's attribute panel for answers. Gaoyang pulls up his system panel, trying to figure out what the hell is going on, and just as he suspected, all his stats are back to their base values, except for his ridiculous luck score. This system confirms it. They're in a special space where all talents and attribute bonuses are temporarily disabled, which raises a pretty important question. Why is his luck stat completely unaffected? Turns out, luck isn't a normal attribute, but everything else is locked down. No new talents, no warnings, nothing. He breaks the bad news to the group. Without their powers, all 12 of them are basically just regular people now. He quickly does a mental head count, figuring the 4 trained fighters are their only real frontline defense, while he, the blindfolded swordsman, and one other guy are second tier and the rest are not exactly fighters. And that's a huge problem, considering this school has over 1,000 potential monsters just waiting to go berserk. Juhan, looking a little less confident now, turns to Gao Yang for a plan. Our boy puts on a brave face, assuring everyone he's been in worse spots and will figure something out. One of Juhan's guys isn't so sure, admitting he could maybe take on one monster before getting overwhelmed. Even Gray Bear admits he's toast against a stronger type, so everyone's just waiting on Gao Yang's next move. Gao Yang connects the dots, realizing this mass power mute is likely caused by a support-type rune circuit. But here's the silver lining. If it affects them, it probably affects the monsters too. His teammate catches on immediately, realizing if the beasts can't transform, they might actually have a slim chance. Just then, a man with a flashlight spots them, yelling about why they're out so late. Gao Yang recognizes him as the dorm supervisor, confirming there are other people here and telling his team to move. With that, the entire group just bolts, trying to get away before they're caught. One of the guys remembers a gym under construction on a back hill, a perfect off-campus spot to hide out. Gao Yang finds them a hideout in the half-built gym, declaring it their new temporary base. Juhan immediately starts strategizing, assuming they just need to find the rune circuit like last time. Our boy agrees, explaining the rune could be a physical item or hidden inside a specific monster. He brings up the Gu Village incident, where a repeating murder was the key to the entire loop. So Juhan realizes they're stuck in another time loop with a core event they have to solve. Gao Yang basically compares their life or death situation to clearing a main quest in an RPG. One of Juhan's guys points out the obvious flaw. Finding one key event among 1,000 students is impossible. With brute force off the table, Gao Yang says there's only one real option left for them. Blend in with the environment and wait for the perfect moment to strike, a classic infiltration plan. He reminds them how they played cops before. Adding the monsters here won't suspect a thing. This only problem is they need convincing identities to move around the school without raising alarms. Xiangdae immediately volunteers, proposing she'll go undercover as a reporter investigating school scandals. She's pretty sure the school will give her VIP treatment just to avoid any bad press. Gao Yang loves the idea, telling her to grab 2 assistants and go find the principal. Naturally, she picks the 2 most intimidating guys, Juhan and the swordsman, as her bodyguards. This 2 of them just silently accept their fate, ready to play their parts. Gray Bear, meanwhile, is just swatting mosquitoes, wondering what the rest of them are supposed to do. In response, Gao Yang just tosses him a bright yellow construction helmet, telling him and the others to put on their new uniforms and get ready for work. Gray Bear tries on the hard hat, asking with zero confidence if they actually look like construction workers. This girl is completely starstruck, telling Gray Bear he has the perfect physique for manual labor. Gao Yang smirks, having found enough gear for 5 of them to go undercover as workers. His teammate immediately volunteers, way too excited about the prospect of moving bricks. But Gao Yang shuts that down, picking himself and the 4 toughest guys for the job instead. She immediately protests, pointing out that their captain doesn't look the part at all, so he just slaps on a hard hat, strikes a pose, and asks if that's better. And she's instantly sold, completely fawning over his new worker aesthetic. With the construction crew set, the rest of Juhan's team is ordered to stay behind and stand guard. Gao Yang then turns to Juhan, asking for his thoughts on the whole infiltration plan. His second-in-command, Black Finch, agrees it's a solid plan and takes charge of their group. So the team split up to rest and prepare for whatever this school throws at them next. Elsewhere, a stern-looking principal is lecturing students about their upcoming college entrance exams. He's going on about unity and helping each other, a classic pre-disaster speech, while Xiangdae, now in disguise, overhears him mention a bullying problem she can exploit. Her teammate is absolutely floored by the transformation, calling her a natural-born spy. Xiangdae just coolly calls it a woman's weapon, telling the kid to take notes. And of course, the girl is completely mesmerized by this masterclass in espionage. Juhan, however, is a little more practical, asking if the monsters won't find them suspicious. Gao Yang just says he's sure, referencing the Gu Village incident as proof he knows how this works. Just then, one of the guys spots someone approaching, yelling for everyone to hide immediately. This team's first test subject is a couple having a secret morning rendezvous, and while the girl is clearly into it, the guy just wants to find a private spot. From the shadows, Gao Yang watches the whole thing, confirming the monsters are acting perfectly normal, as the 2 of them sneak into the unfinished building for some privacy. But Gao Yang's face suddenly drops. He knows they've been spotted. Right on cue, Gray Bear stomps out, demanding to know who's making all the noise. This couple is completely startled, caught red-handed by a very grumpy construction worker. Gray Bear tells them to scram, but the guy questions why they're even working since the site is shut down. Our big guy plays it cool, saying he's just a grunt who does what the foreman says. This teacher totally buys it, thanking him for his hard work before making a quick exit. With the couple gone, the construction crew's cover remains perfectly intact. Gao Yang confirms the monsters are just as clueless as in Gu Village, telling the other team to proceed. Over at the main teaching building, Xiang Dia's infiltration is about to begin. Inside an office, a man apologizes for keeping the reporters waiting, introducing himself as Dai Xiaojun, the dean of students. Xiang Dia, now looking every bit the professional journalist, introduces herself and her two assistants. She immediately puts the dean on the back foot, bringing up an anonymous tip about severe bullying. He instantly panics, swearing his school is famous for its discipline and such things are impossible. Xiang Dai masterfully plays him, claiming they're just here to help the school clear its good name, casually adding how difficult it is to disprove a nasty rumor once it starts spreading. This dean is visibly sweating, trying to process her perfectly crafted PR nightmare, while Xiangdia suggests a heartwarming story on student mental health to get full access. He stammers that he can't authorize interviews without the principal's permission, before promptly leaving the three of them alone in the office to wait for a decision. This swordsman asks for the next move, but Xiangdia says they'll just have to improvise. So Juhan decides to go scout the area himself instead of just sitting around. But just as he moves to leave, he senses something is definitely off. A reflection reveals a student was just outside the door, listening to their entire conversation. He bursts out into the hall just in time to see her sprinting away down the corridor. This whole team immediately gives chase, following the girl up a flight of stairs. Juhan doesn't bother with the doorknob, simply kicking the rooftop door clean open. They corner the eavesdropper on the roof, demanding to know what she was up to. This girl is absolutely terrified, swearing she didn't hear a single thing. But Juhan's intimidation tactics aren't exactly helping as he grills her for answers, which just makes her back up to the ledge, threatening to jump if they get closer. Xiang Dai finally steps in, telling her captain he's way too scary and she'll take over. She calmly approaches the student, calling her by name and assuring her they mean no harm. This completely throws the girl off, who demands to know how they knew her name. Xiang Dia just coolly points to the girl's school badge, disarming her with a simple compliment. And just like that, the student is totally mesmerized, her panic completely forgotten. Xiang Dia tries to build a connection, claiming they share a surname and might even be distant relatives, before getting straight to the point and asking why the girl was spying on their conversation. This student is completely rattled, nervously asking if they're the real deal reporters she overheard. Leaning into the role, Xiang Dia confirms her cover and offers to help the girl get some justice. And that's all it takes for the student to completely break down, begging them to save someone. She frantically explains that a group of bullies are about to take someone out, giving the team their first real lead. Meanwhile, in the school cafeteria, the core event of this time loop is already kicking off. A group of 4 guys sit down for lunch, looking like they've done this 1,000 times before. One of them notes the food is way better than what they get at the precinct, a pretty weird detail. But his friend immediately warns him not to eat, since this rune cave has been looping for years. Just then, their leader spots their target walking into the room, a student named Nu Xuan, though he clarifies this is just a past version of the guy they're after. Turns out, Nu Xuan is the key to this whole mess. He's the one who first opened the gate to this rune cave. Right on cue, a bully shoves Nu Xuan from behind, starting the exact confrontation they came to see. He stumbles and drops his entire lunch tray, spilling it all over the floor as the gang surrounds him. This bully leader smirks, mocking their calisthenics leader for being so clumsy. He then crouches down, acting all sad about the perfectly good food that's been wasted. Then he grabs a handful of rice off the dirty floor and shoves it right into Nu Xuan's mouth. His buddy's holding the poor guy down just as a teacher happens to walk in on the scene. This bully instantly plays innocent, claiming he was just helping a fellow student up. What a model citizen. This bully forces the kid to say he just fell by accident, all while wearing his most trustworthy smile. But a teacher storms in, threatening to call the bully's father if he causes any more trouble, which immediately makes the punk switch to his I was wrong act, a total pro at this. Once the teacher's gone, he gives his victim a final little threat just to keep him in line. Watching from afar, one of the other guys is fuming, realizing the teachers are completely powerless here. And their leader just confirms that these brats have way too many dirty tricks up their sleeves. Turns out the guy they're watching is a past version of their own teammate, Nu Xuan, who's now wondering if this is some kind of cosmic karma for his own past actions. But his existential crisis is cut short by an incoming message on his walkie-talkie. It's the other team calling in. Shangdi's group has found a major lead, so the 2 squads meet up in a grove near the playground to get the full story, where Shangdi explains the core event revolves around 2 students, Li Zhuangshu and Shang Xiaoqin, and a bully named Yu Pengliang, who started tormenting Xiaoqin because of a petty crush, which escalated to him dragging her to the rooftop for blackmail photos only for Li Zhuangshu to witness it. This bookworm actually stood up to them, threatening to get a teacher involved. So the bully just redirected all his rage onto Li Zhuangshu, starting the cycle they just saw. It got so bad he even threatened to ruin the kid's only shot at college, driving Li Zhuangshu to the brink of suicide before Xiang Xiaoqin managed to pull him back from the ledge. This rest of the team is absolutely livid, ready to go beat the bully into the ground. but their leader tells them to cool it, reminding them this is just a memory they're rewatching. This team's conclusion is that Li Zhuangshu is the key player, having accidentally gained a rune circuit. Xiang Dai then brings up a key clue, the message they found on the rooftop water tank last night. Turns out she matched the handwriting on a note left for the bullies. I will be waiting for you in hell. Just then, a walkie-talkie starts buzzing, and everyone looks around wondering who it belongs to. Juhan immediately gets suspicious, pointing out that everyone on their team is already present. But Xiang Di just smiles, revealing she gave a radio to Xiang Xiaoqin to act as their inside woman. Black Finch immediately calls her out, saying it's way too risky. What if the girl is a monster setting a trap? Gao Yang, ever the pragmatist, just hands her the radio, arguing a monster would have already attacked them. With everyone's eyes on her, Xiang Die calmly radios in, asking to speak with Xiao Qin. Their new informant immediately reports back. Both Li Zhuangshu and the bullies have vanished after lunch. Over with the other squad, the girl gets a bad feeling, but Grey Bear reminds them no one can leave a rune cave. Juhan points out the obvious problem. Their current disguises are too restrictive to let them search freely. Xiang Di adds that they've already pushed their luck with the administration, who will toss them out on sight. But the girl from their team suddenly gets an idea, and Juhan gives her the floor. Her brilliant plan is to point out that Juhan, of all people, could actually pass for a high schooler. Juhan is less than thrilled, internally admitting she's got a point even if he's way past his school days. Grey Bear immediately catches on. She wants their captain to go undercover as a student to find Li Zhuangshu. She smugly confirms the logic. He'll blend right in, and even if he's spotted, no one will think twice. Juhan absolutely hates this idea, knowing he has zero acting skills, but sees no other option, except he has no uniform. This team's solution is simple and a little bit ominous. Just find a student and borrow one. This team's plan to borrow a uniform begins with their female member luring a student away, playing the part of a damsel in distress who needs a big strong man to help her out, and her very specific request is for him to take off all his clothes right here and now, which makes the poor kid blush furiously as the rest of the team watches the whole thing unfold. With their target successfully cornered, the guys move in to complete the acquisition. This student is now officially terrified, realizing he's walked straight into a very weird ambush. Grey Bear's buddy tries to calm him down with the least reassuring smile in human history, but his terrified screams echo through the school as the team gets down to business, leaving him tied up, gagged, and stripped down to his shorts in a storage closet. And just like that, Chuhan emerges, looking surprisingly sharp in his newly acquired uniform. This girl who set the whole thing up is absolutely thrilled, telling him he's a natural. Juhan, however, is clearly dying from the sheer awkwardness of the compliment. With his disguise ready, the team sends their undercover captain off to find Li Zhuangshu. His search takes him to the student dorms, the most likely place to find someone hiding out. Having already cleared the main building, Juhan knows the dorms are his last and best shot. He logically deduces that upperclassmen would stick to the lower floors to save time, and in one of the rooms he spots a familiar set of clothes draped over a chair, instantly recognizing them as the ones Li Zhuangshu was wearing during the cafeteria bullying. He finds the door unlocked and carefully peers inside, confirming he's found the right room. But just as he enters, he overhears someone outside asking about a prowler. He's been spotted. He overhears the bullies outside, confirming Yu Pengliang's crew is hunting for Li Zhuangshu. And with zero subtlety, their leader kicks the door wide open, demanding his victim show his face. But the room is completely empty, leaving the goons confused since they'd already searched it. Hiding under the bed, Juhan realizes they're not leaving. They're settling in for a card game. As they play, the bullies immediately start mocking Li Zhuangshu and his crush on Xiang Xiaoqin. Yu Pengliang even throws down his cards with a nasty joke about them being a match made in hell. One of his lackeys actually shows a flicker of concern, wondering if they're pushing the kid too far, but the leader just scoffs, completely unimpressed by the idea of his victim fighting back. His friend insists, pointing out Li Zhuangshu hasn't been sleeping and is acting strangely vicious. Another goon adds that someone saw a blood-red light flashing under the kid's blanket, which makes Juhan realize Li Zhuangshu might have already activated his rune circuit. Just then, the closet door creaks open, revealing someone was hiding inside the whole time. It's Li Zhuangshu who finally emerges to face his tormentors head-on. He looks completely broken, just begging Yu Pengliang to finally leave him alone. But the bully gets right in his face, promising to ruin his entire life with a smug grin. He grabs the kid, threatening to destroy his only chance of getting into college. But this time, Li Zhuangshu shoves him back, finally finding the nerve to fight. Yu Pengliang is absolutely stunned, his face twisting with rage at the sudden defiance. Li Zhuangshu makes a break for it, bolting out of the room as the bully screams death threats. Wasting no time, Juhan radios his team that their target is on the move, heading for the teaching building. Just as Juhan's about to make his move, a frantic voice screams over the radio about a murder on the rooftop. He gets there just in time to see the aftermath. The bully leader, Yu Pengliang, is already dead. His two lackeys are in full-blown panic mode, pointing right at Li Zhuangshu as the killer. And there he is, standing over the body with a bloody weapon, insisting it was self-defense. Juhan immediately recognizes the object in his hand. It's the glowing rune circuit they've been looking for. He tries to de-escalate, telling Li Zhuangshu to calm down and drop the dangerous artifact. But the kid is completely gone, enveloped in a sinister red aura and staring into space. Twisted markings start crawling up his face as he mutters that it was all Yu Pengliang's fault. even kicking the corpse to emphasize his point, totally lost in his own head. Juhan desperately yells at him to throw the rune circuit away before it consumes him. Instead, Li Zhuangshu just turns and walks straight toward the edge of the roof. He climbs onto the railing, warning Juhan to stay back while clutching the glowing weapon. Juhan tries to reason with him, offering help, but the kid is convinced he's a murderer now. He finally breaks, screaming about how he did nothing wrong and just wanted a decent life. Trying a new angle, Juhan tells him the bullies were the ones who deserved to die, not him. Li Zhuangshu seems to agree for a second, then flashes a peace sign as he leans back, declaring that the world itself is what deserves to die as he willingly plummets. Juhan rushes to the edge, screaming his name, but it's way too late. At that exact moment, two of his teammates arrive on the scene, witnessing the body hit the ground. This shock triggers something in the girl, who lets out a terrifying scream as a purple aura explodes around her. This scene on the ground is pure chaos as students scream about someone jumping from the building. Juhan is already sprinting towards the commotion, not wasting a single second. He radios in the grim update. Li Zhuangshu jumped, and he took the rune circuit with him. Blasting past the gawking students, his only focus is getting to the impact site. Down below, a crowd has already formed around the body where the rest of his team is waiting. Juhan immediately takes command, telling Grey Bear to use his police ID to secure the scene. And just like that, Grey Bear is flashing a badge, clearing the area with some borrowed authority. But as they get closer, Li Zhuangshu's hand suddenly twitches in the pool of blood, which sends the remaining onlookers into a full-blown panic, screaming that the corpse just moved. This panic immediately turns into a stampede as everyone scrambles away from the reanimating body. It's way worse than they thought. The corpse is now up and actively biting people. Juhan and Grey Bear can only watch the chaos, realizing this has gone completely off the rails. Then they look up to see more students falling from the sky, all dressed in the same uniform. Li Zhuangshu stands before them, now a full-blown monster with the rune circuit glowing in his chest. A sinister aura erupts from his body as the rune's power fully corrupts its new host. His face contorts into a monstrous snarl, eyes glowing with pure mindless rage. This infection is spreading fast. One of the students he bit is already turning on the ground. In seconds, the entire courtyard is filled with the newly turned, all rising to their feet. This girl from their team points out the horrifying detail. They're all transforming into copies of Li Zhuangshu. It's a full-blown zombie outbreak, and every single one of them is a clone of the original victim. This courtyard erupts into total chaos as the Li Zhuangshu clones start their all-you-can-eat student buffet, and Juhan can only watch in horror, screaming for everyone to run for their lives. While Grey Bear and his partner immediately pinpoint the construction site as their only escape route, but a quick look reveals their path is already cut off by another wave of the infected. Inside the school, it's even worse as students are getting picked off one by one, with the newly turned showing absolutely zero signs of their former selves, and one of the bully's own friends gets cornered by his zombified buddy, who pathetically tries to reason with him, begging him to remember their friendship, which earns him a swift and decisive bite to the neck for his troubles. Juhan and the girl are booking it, realizing this is classic zombie movie logic. The infection spreads fast. Just as he says that, a zombie lunges out of a classroom aiming straight for her, forcing Juhan to yell a warning as they sprint down the now-infested hallway. But she's no damsel, tripping the monster with a surprisingly effective kick, and she grabs her captain, urging him to keep moving before they get swarmed, which is about to happen anyway, because the entire corridor is now packed with the undead. This whole teaching building has officially fallen, with every floor descending into a bloodbath, and as they round a corner, a lone zombie twitches back to life, its head snapping around with glowing red eyes, having locked onto its next meal. Juhan doesn't hesitate, grabbing a fire extinguisher and bringing it down hard, and as Gaoyang arrives, Juhan tells him to get into a classroom so they can barricade the door. Juhan confirms the classroom door is locked, knowing that smashing it will just ring the dinner bell for the horde. But their bald teammate steps up, confidently telling Juhan that he's got this covered. Turns out his dark past as a burglar is finally paying off, much to Gaoyang's amusement. They're running out of time, though, as a fresh wave of the undead comes sprinting down the corridor, forcing the rest of the team to form a defensive line and hold off the incoming swarm. Meanwhile, Gao, Yang, and the girl find themselves facing down their own pair of attackers. He warns his partner, codenamed Black Finch, to watch out before dropping one of the monsters with a solid kick. This other zombie lunges straight for her, moving with unnatural speed and precision. She just sidesteps the attack with a completely unimpressed look on her face, then grabs its head and snaps its neck like it's just another Tuesday. Gao Yang can only watch as she stands over the body, clearly more than capable of handling herself. But the thing starts twitching back to life, apparently not getting the memo that it's supposed to be down. Before it can get up, another teammate smashes its head with a metal chair, making absolutely sure this one stays down for good this time around. He then turns to Black Finch, asking what she was thinking and explaining you have to destroy the brain. This guy then launches into a full-blown lecture on zombie movie basics, roasting her for the risky move. She just looks back, admitting she's never actually seen a zombie movie before, because her entire life has been non-stop training, leaving zero time for pop culture. Juhan is dying of secondhand embarrassment as she thanks the guy for the very public lesson. Back in the hallway, Gaoyang sends another zombie flying, noting how surprisingly durable these things are. As the fight rages, a knife comes flying through the air, which Gaoyang catches without even breaking a sweat. He and his buddy agree that blades are definitely the way to go in this situation. Good timing, because another zombie is already lunging right for him. So Gao Yang immediately puts that new knife to work, sinking it straight into the monster's skull. It's a clean, direct hit, making sure this one doesn't get back up. Meanwhile, Grey Bear is rubbing his knuckles, complaining about how hard their heads are. Their bald teammate, however, is already holding up his second kill, bragging about his high score. Juhan has to break up their little competition by smashing another zombie with the fire extinguisher, all while yelling to see if the door is even unlocked yet. Grey Bear is also losing his patience, grabbing a zombie and yelling at their burglar for being too slow. And right on cue, the lock clicks open, and he waves them all inside. This team piles into the classroom as the others hold the line against the last of the horde. Juhan is the last one in, taking a final look down the now empty hallway. Inside, Grey Bear compliments his captain's stamina, and Juhan just says he exercises a lot. They immediately get to work barricading the door with a cabinet, knowing they're not safe yet. But just as they secure the room, Black Finch grabs his arm and points toward the window, where the silhouette of a woman has been standing this entire time. Gao Yang instantly pulls his knife, demanding that she show herself. This figure steps out of the light, revealing a terrified woman in a lab coat. This woman is completely hysterical, collapsing on the floor and begging for her life. Juhan quickly identifies her as the school doctor, telling his team she's not infected yet. She immediately starts pleading, pulling the I have a daughter at home card to stay alive. Grey Bear shuts her down, warning her that screaming will just attract more of the undead. That threat works perfectly, and she immediately clamps her mouth shut, still crying. Juhan turns to the window, getting a good look at the absolute mess in the courtyard below. It's a sea of Li Zhuangshu clones, all just shambling around without a clear target. His teammate nervously asks the million-dollar question. Does he actually have a plan for this? Juhan's objective is simple and direct. They have to find the original Li Zhuangshu. Grey Bear immediately connects the dots, realizing the rune circuit is the source of the outbreak. Their glasses-wearing teammate explains the hierarchy. Li Zhuangshu is the boss controlling all the clones. He clarifies this isn't a viral infection but rune-based control, coining the term rune zombies. Grey Bear smirks, admitting that rune zombies does sound a lot less disgusting. Blackfinch lays out the game plan, take out the source, and the entire zombie army should deactivate. But their other teammate brings up the obvious problem. They're surrounded with no powers. Juhan's brilliant solution is to just pick up a random coffee mug from a desk. He then promptly yeets it out the window, much to his partner's total confusion. She stares at him, demanding to know what on earth he's doing as they watch it fall. Down below, the mug shatters on the pavement, instantly grabbing the attention of a nearby zombie, which causes the entire horde to turn in unison, and Juhan asks if they get his plan now. His teammate in the overalls is just staring blankly, completely lost on the whole throwing a mug thing. And Juhan can't help but roast her, calling her the team's intellectual low point, so their glasses-wearing analyst has to spell it out. The rune zombies are blind and hunt by sound. Juhan lays out the full strategy. They'll use a loud noise to lure the horde, get to the construction site for supplies, and then hunt the original. But she brings up a solid point. How are they supposed to make a sound loud enough to draw all of them? He just gives her a pointed look, reminding her that they're currently standing in a school, which triggers a sudden epiphany for her. The school bell is their perfect distraction device. Grey Bear gives her a congratulatory pat on the head, amazed she finally put it together, and she proudly admits her habit of napping in class is finally paying off for once. Juhan explains the bell rings at set times and only lasts for about 20 seconds, so their window is tight. They'll sprint to the broadcasting room and blast music to keep the zombies occupied. Grey Bear immediately pokes holes in the plan, pointing out they don't know where the room is and it's probably locked. Plus, their bald teammate adds that 20 seconds is nowhere near enough time to get there. With all these new problems on the table, Juhan turns to the one person who might have answers, approaching the terrified school doctor, who flinches as he gets closer. She's already writing her last will, rambling about a promise she made to take her daughter to an amusement park. Juhan realizes she's just a lost soul, trapped in this nightmare but still clinging to her family. He gently asks her for the information they need, the location of the broadcasting room and whether the door is locked. She tells them the room is on the 5th floor and locked, but the key is in the unlocked dean's office on the 2nd floor. Juhan then asks her to draw them a clear map of the school, and she quickly agrees to help. Juhan lays out the revised plan. They'll grab the key, fall back, and wait for the next bell to move. Gaoyang immediately volunteers his group, pointing out that 20 seconds is a suicide run for everyone. He snaps a nearby broom handle in half, creating 2 makeshift weapons for the mission ahead. Gaoyang officially forms Group 4 with Black Finch, ready to take on the key retrieval operation. He then assigns the main broadcasting room mission to Juhan and their bald teammate, Mamba. But Grey Bear immediately objects, grabbing Juhan and insisting that he should be the one to go. Juhan just smirks, reminding him this mission is about speed, not brawn, and he's the best at it. Grey Bear reluctantly agrees but gives him a 10-minute timer before he personally leads a rescue party. Juhan shuts that down immediately, explaining a rescue attempt would just send more people to their doom. He gives him a hard look, telling him not to make the classic mistake of feeding the enemy one by one. With the plan set, they wait in tense silence for the bell that will signal their desperate run. Juhan asks for a time check, but their analyst realizes the bell is already late. And right on cue, the school bell finally rings, drawing the attention of the undead outside. His hand is already on the doorknob, ready to burst out the second the sound hits its peak. Peeking out, he gives the final command for everyone to prepare to move. This girl in the overalls stops him for a moment, looking at her captain with concern. She wishes him good luck and he returns the sentiment with a confident smile. This second the door is open, he and Mamba are off, sprinting down the hallway. They bolt past the rune zombies, who are all completely mesmerized by the sound from above. Juhan is already armed with a wrench, ready to bash any zombie that gets in their way. Juhan wastes no time putting his wrench to use, caving in the skull of a zombie in his path, while Mamba simultaneously buries his knife deep into another one's eye socket. He suddenly stops mid-execution, realizing their plan just hit a major snag. This entire horde is packed in the hallway, drawn directly to their target by the bell. So Mamba improvises, slamming his blade into a metal fixture to make a new sound, telling a shocked Ju-han that he's about to become the new distraction. All the zombies immediately pivot, their attention now locked onto the louder, closer noise, leaving Mamba standing alone in the corridor, taunting the undead to come and get him. This entire swarm takes the bait, stampeding directly toward their lone target. He keeps yelling, pulling the horde further and further down the hall, which gives Ju-han and Gao Yang's team a clear shot to bolt up the stairs. Ju-han can only look back, silently begging his teammate to somehow survive this suicide play. They finally make it to the dean's office at the end of the corridor, and he yells for his partner to find the key before their window of opportunity slams shut. But a man in a suit suddenly appears, pressing a gun to his head and ordering him not to move.